YouTube. Thanks for making us part of your day. We appreciate it. Super Bowl 59 week is here. Eagles versus Chiefs. Go Birds. Man, AD to the Lakers. Who saw that coming? I sure as heck did not see that coming. I think the world didn't see that coming. I think I was being pranked or whatever the case may be, but no idea that was coming. Myles Garrett, he wants out of Cleveland, and Kendrick Lamar, clean sweep of the Grammys last night. He's Rob Cruz, President, CEO, RC3 Enterprises, Chief Development Officer, Managing Partner at Cruz, boxer and dear friend of mine, joining us on the program, fresh off his trip to the UK, France, Netherlands. Rob, it's been a while, probably a decade. Welcome to the program. How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic, man. How you doing, bro?
Doing very well. So good to see you, man. Real quick, before we get started here, the world was shocked, right, by this AD news. Where were you, and what's your thoughts on this AD news?
I mean, I think I was like everybody else. It's on the couch scrolling.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And then I saw that come in. I'm just like, I mean, like the way the NBA trades go, I feel like other teams, there's way more like rumors, insights, like. But I guess the way the NBA works, just coming out of nowhere from from Dallas to, like with Luca and all that. Like that's just, I mean, I can't get over it. But I mean, hey, that's the NBA for you. So I guess he had his run in LA, and it's time to switch it up. And Luke can get that max deal. I guess.
He's got to stay in shape, though, right? I mean, just a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Stay in
he's got
shape.
injury issues, doesn't he? I
Yeah,
thought.
he's a little banged up now. He's a little banged up now. I know his dad is not happy. Dallas Maverick fans are going crazy outside the stadium. They got coffins. They got all this stuff. At the end of the day, Rob, you and I know, man, it's a business. That's all it is. Put the feelings
I mean,
aside.
how many teams in the world could be outside their stadiums calling for? I mean, there could be. You could have dozens of stories in all the sports around the thing that could have all kinds of people making that same complaint. So,
Yeah, yeah,
me included.
yeah. I think short term, I think the Mavericks got better, but I think long term, Luke is what, 25? I think Luca next 10, 12 years, probably better off with the Lakers. But short term, I think the Mavericks got really better. What say you?
No, I think so. I mean, the Mavericks always. I feel like they're always right there, and then they just kind of
Fizzle out a little
they just,
bit.
just kind of fizzle out,
Yeah.
And obviously the Lakers are the Lakers. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're always going to be in the mix, and then who knows how much time LeBron's got left over there, and
Right.
try to make a splash deal to maybe get one more before he gets out of there. So
One more big and one more championship, right?
yeah, and we
TBD.
all know that one player in the NBA can truly just change everything.
Everything changed the landscape. Pretty much Luca's probably pretty much going to be the face, right, of the Lakers franchise, right? LeBron fizzles out. Luca's there, right? Build around
He's
Luca.
got to be.
Yeah.
He's got to
Has
be
to be.
unless they make another blockbuster trade or get some or somebody emerges,
Right.
from the other ranks. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
he's got it. I mean, he's
It's got to be.
one of the young stars right now.
For sure. Let's turn the clock back a little bit here. You're born and raised in Jersey, right? You applied at Cheesecake. Who hired you at Cheesecake Factory?
I think it was Munson, right?
John Munson.
John Munson was the
Wow.
yeah.
I haven't
Yeah,
heard that
so
name in a long
my,
time.
my good friend and your good friend Jim Rulin,
Yeah.
was working there, and I've worked in restaurants for years. Got out of college, was kind of in that like don't
What
know
am I
what I
going to
want to
do?
do yet.
Yeah.
Let's me and Jim were like, let's get an apartment. We can make good money. You can make good money working at the cheese. I was working at the this local place in Ridgewood called The Office at the time, bartending there, and made the jump to the Cheesecake Factory, even though it was up in West Nyack, which is a little bit of a drive, but
Right.
I felt like there was always good opportunity there. But yeah, John Munson was the GM there, man. It was and Maribel was a manager. Like I can't remember the full
The
gamut
management crew.
of the management crew, but yeah, I mean it was one for the ages. The
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory is a powerhouse in the hospitality industry.
I think Waisaki was there too, right? Waisaki,
Yep.
Jim Cordero, I believe. Yeah.
Yep, both of those guys were there.
Yeah.
Good call.
Shout out to James Rulin too, right? Big Cowboy fan out there. Rulin, if you're listening, man, shout out to you, buddy. Hope all is well.
Yeah,
So you applied there and you served, you bartend. Which one did you prefer? Do you prefer serving or bartending? Because you had the bartending experience, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I gotta say they both. I'd say ultimately bartending was more suited for me,
Right.
but the freedom of the serving was a little bit more ideal because I to this day, like I'm been every facet of the hospitality industry at this
Right.
point. From the corporate levels on down to washing dishes when I was at summer camp. But I mean, being a bartender at the Cheesecake Factory is the most difficult, demanding bartending position in that there is. I mean,
Yeah, for
the
sure.
amount of the drink, not the menu knowledge you had to have,
20 pages plus. Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just the whole the volume was insane. I mean, like
Yeah.
nowadays, when I know what average restaurants do revenue wise,
Yeah.
and I look at like I think our West Nyack location was on the bottom rung, I believe. Like they were like maybe in terms of revenue of all the different locations, I believe they were on the bottom rung, but it's still it was like a $13 million restaurant annually or something like that.
Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah. Because it was
Yeah,
only us and pretty much Ridge Hill, right? I mean, Ridge Hill opened
yeah,
up later, but now there's like Queens, there's Trumbull,
yeah,
Danbury, and Stanford is out, but like
exactly.
still, but
But if
that
you but if
that
you look
volume
at
is
it from
crazy.
a perspective of what average restaurants do revenue wise on the
Yeah.
street,
Yeah.
13 million is a monster,
Yeah. For
in
sure.
terms of revenue. And then when you look at like, most restaurants in our industry, or at least at the airport level, do like 25%, 30% alcohol sales. I mean, if you just translate that to that cheesecake location, I mean, you're looking at well over a million, million and a half plus
Easily.
in just alcohol revenue that
Yeah.
the bar
Alone.
is producing. So
Yeah.
it was definitely something. It definitely prepared me for anything. I can definitely say that.
We all had these working there. I mean, I get them all the time. I'm still there 20 plus years in. The last time you had a cheese mirror.
Bringing back the lingo, I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are real. People are, they laugh at us, man, but those are real, man.
Yeah, they're real. They're real for sure. I'd say the last one I had, I can't remember when, but I definitely was being in that well, in that
Saturday
bar.
night.
I mean that the well in that bar. I mean, it was like Vietnam. I mean,
Yeah,
like it was
yeah.
like a triage unit.
You're in the weeds constantly. Yeah.
I mean, I just remember like people sitting like well in terms of the cheese mayor just being trapped in that little like
Box.
box
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just having nowhere to go and people
Right,
screaming at you.
right.
That was definitely probably the last time I like woke up in a oh that kind of thing. Because even when I was doing that, like people would sit at the bar and you couldn't even help
Move.
it. Because you're
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
can't like I got I'm
yeah,
making drinks for literally 300 people right now. So.
yeah. Fondest memories at CCF. Some of the fondest memories you had working there.
I gotta say, some of the fondest memories I had is all of us hanging out at what was that bar we used to go to?
Was it
The
Bruxelles,
hotel,
Bourbon Street,
the
the
Hody.
hotel? Yeah, the Hody. Yeah,
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 it was in an episode of
yeah,
it was in an episode of SVU because I saw the back room.
yeah.
I saw the stickers in the back room on
Yeah.
everything. Like that's the Hody. Um, I definitely got to say that those are my fondest memories because something that the hospitality industry has over almost every industry is the camaraderie of coworkers.
Yeah.
And when you get through shifts like that, I definitely my fondest memories are all of us just getting off of work, getting a drink, everybody winding down, listening to the, putting money in the jukebox and hanging out all night, and
Play
you
some
know,
darts, some pool, and you
because
go back and you go back to work at double the next day, right? No issues, no problems.
and your brain is not ready to go to sleep yet, even though your
No.
body is.
Yeah.
Your body's tired, but your
Yeah.
brain is just like I need to wind down a little bit. So
Yeah,
yeah, those were definitely my fondest memories. Was just hanging out with everybody afterwards, and
for sure.
and getting and those friendships that clearly still last right now.
Yeah, for sure. You still have your whites laying around? What do you do with your whites? You got those
I
bad
definitely
those
have my
bad
whites.
boys?
I mean, like I had shoes for Cruz. I had those shoes for Cruz for a minute because,
Right.
as anybody knows, those things truly are a marvel in engineering. Because when you don't wear them and just one time and you walk across the floor, you're like, oh my god, I'm on ice skates
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say I have the whites anymore, but
We're-
definitely had that nice string of ties. I had that nice little Rolodex of ties
yeah.
for the different occasions and everything, and
Right.
obviously being a bartender, I switched to the black pants.
There you go. We're all about content on the show, right? So look what I have for you right here.
So. Can I tell you a funny story
Is
about
the
that
is
thing
the
right there?
apron? It's got the creases, Rob. Look at that thing. We're all about content, man.
That thing
All
is
about
a
content.
collector's item.
It's a
Can I tell
collector's
you a
item,
funny
right?
story about that
And I got the
right
black
there?
one also too. Look at that. Never threw them out. Look at that. We're all about
They
content,
still
Rob.
wear. They don't wear all white anymore, right?
All black now. All black everything now. Yeah. All black everything. We're all about content. Funny story about the whites. Go ahead, Rob.
So I remember. Remember we had lineup, right before our pre-shift,
Yeah.
and I remember had my whites on, and I think I had a coffee stain on one of the pockets,
Right.
and you know this is I feel like people, the youngins now in the industry don't know
No clue.
how management used to treat you.
Yeah.
And I remember Munson like saw that
Right.
stain on my apron, and he yanked it off of me, and it ripped. Like he literally ripped it off of me, and then he just like threw it on the ground, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Go get another apron."
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because he did the same thing to me. He ripped my pocket, ripped it off.
Yeah.
And from since then, Rob, I always had a crease in my apron to this day. It's unbelievable. Shout out to Munson, by the way.
Oh, definitely shout out to that guy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
but like I kind of miss that way of management a little bit. I feel
That
like
tough love, but he really cared. You can do that now. You can do that now. You can do that now.
no, there's no way.
No. Charges and the whole nine. You'll be in some serious trouble. Last time you spoke to Brian, Daniel, Andre, you guys are like the four amigos, man, like a superhero crew. Last time you spoke to those guys, man, you guys were always together hanging out.
Yeah. I gotta say, Brian, aka Whitey.
Whitey, what's up, Whitey?
I can't say I haven't talked to him directly in a minute, but we always keep in contact on social media. We're always saying we gotta get together and gotta meet up and that kind of stuff. Andre, I gotta say I haven't spoken to in many years. I kind of lost contact with him. But yeah, those are definitely some of my guys out there, man. Like those are some of my. I mean, but I feel like we all had, we had our cliques, but you had, I guess you had your intermediate, your inner circle there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a minute since I've like directly talked to those guys, but Whitey probably the Brian, the one is. I've definitely like at least had some like I still am in contact with and
Right.
Hi, what's up
To this day. Last time you ate at CCF, what'd you have at CCF last time you've been there?
There's one in Atlanta, so obviously, I mean, but I think what did I have when I went there? I want to say I had my OG farfalle with roasted chicken.
Okay, with mushrooms. Okay, little pancetta. Okay,
roasted chicken, a little
nice.
And to this day, best ranch dressing in the game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Made in house, man. Can't beat that.
Caesar's good too. I mean, I think I door dashed it a couple times when I was living up that way.
Right.
Meaning like up near Buckhead, which is like where the Cheesecake Factory is. And I definitely hit up some DoorDash or something for some nostalgia. I had definitely Caesar salad, some sliders, things like that. But yeah, that was probably the last thing I had. Really missed that Southern fried chicken salad, man.
Oh, that was
You know
really
that
good.
thing?
Yeah, that was really good. It was really, really
Oh,
good back in the day.
yeah,
We change the menu every, once a year, sometimes every 6 months. There's menu rollout, all that jazz. So
yeah.
that's awesome, man. So this boxing adventure, which I think is phenomenal. Why now? How did this all come about? Is this something you always wanted to do?
I'll be honest with you. I can't say I've always wanted to do it,
Okay.
but I've always been a fan of the sport ever since I was, a kid. I
Right.
mean, I think we all had a fascination with Mike Tyson when we were kids. I mean, there was just nobody, bigger on the planet really at the time. Punch Out, the Rocky movies, for all of us growing up and into the later generations and even generations before us. So I've always been enamored with the sport, and watching it through the years when it transitioned to like HBO and seeing Floyd, and then kind of tailing into like Canelo and Triple G was probably my favorite boxer of all time. But the actual sport came around, I want to say 2017.
Okay.
I had just got in through back surgery. Like I had like a microdiscectomy because I was having like sciatic pain, which I got from like lifting weights because was always like, oh, got to lift weights, going to the gym. That was
Yeah.
always the go-to workout. And then years, living in Atlanta and living a healthier lifestyle, doing all these different workouts, they all got mundane and, it was just boring. And then I had a friend of mine, shout out to my boy, Brandon Mark, was like, yeah, why don't you try boxing? There's a gym called X3 that here in Atlanta that mostly focuses on, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and kickboxing, but they have boxing. And I said, yeah, let me try that out. You know what I mean? And as soon as I started doing it, I was hooked.
Wow.
I was immediately hooked because, um, first of all, like, when you start boxing, it just, starts out as, man, that was a great workout. I'm so tired. Got a lot of stress out. Wow, that's incredible. And then that went on for a little while. And then I started training with this coach Isidoro, who's he was a Cuban national coach and doesn't speak a lot of English, but started teaching us, the techniques of the sport. Really started teaching like as soon as you get, through the phase of hitting a heavy bag and being able to jump rope, competently and throw punches the right way, then you start learning about like, oh wow, like boxing is this incredibly intricate sport that you don't realize. Like how they always the old saying is you box with your feet and punch with your hands. Like so everybody thinks like boxing is this, and
Right.
it's really starts from your feet
The
and
opposite. Yeah.
how it becomes kind of like a dance and how you move in and out and then when you start learning that and appreciating it, then you start watching it on TV, and even the boring little prelim fights and a big fight you're into because you're just watching these guys
Yeah.
do techniques and all that. So,
It's all about the
it came
details.
about as mostly like a workout, and then I started doing it as then I started really getting into the technique of it, which led to sparring. And then once you start sparring, then that's a whole
Different game. Like, I can do this. I think I can do this. Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Talk about your fears, anxiety, training. How tough is it?
it's the toughest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and and that's why I love it, and it still is to this day. Um, like you said, the fear of getting in that ring is something that you almost never truly like get over. It's not
Yeah.
something, obviously, there's pros and guys who've been doing it for their whole lives that they're not like afraid when they get in the ring.
Right.
But for the people like us, like people like me, who it's a more of a hobby for, there's always going to be that sense of fear when you get in there.
Right.
But but the beautiful nature of it is like conquering that fear and then focusing while you're in that ring on what's happening, not what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like usually the the big problem that most people have when they start boxing is they're afraid of the outcome. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get knocked out. He's gonna punch me. He's gonna punch me in my. He's gonna liver shot. He's gonna go for this. Like you're always concerned about what's going to happen, and
Right.
then when you learn to quiet your mind a little bit and you get better at it, you start focusing on what's happening currently, and then you don't just keep thinking about what's going to happen, which usually leads to you losing.
Do you pay attention to the crowd, what they're saying, coaches, trainers? Do you pay any attention to that, or just you're locked in on your opponent?
You're mostly locked in on your opponent. I mean, like
Okay.
the fight you saw that I posted about, that was my first time like truly competing in a fight. Everything else was sparring, and usually in sparring, it's you might have a coach, telling you some things, but in our gym, there's only one coach and a lot of people, so it's not necessarily like focused on just you. But
Right.
your gym teammates will be shouting stuff, but normally it's hard for you to focus on any of that because you're just so locked into what's going on.
Right.
Um, it's probably the only thing I've done where I mean the best analogy for it physically is you feel like you're drowning. Like in terms
Wow.
of like when you there's like being out of breath, and then there's like being so out of breath that you literally feel like you're drowning, like you can't catch your breath back.
Yeah.
And that is probably the moment in boxing is when the 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 ultimate fear and anxiety kicks
Kicks
in.
in. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you're just like I can't catch my breath, and there's no timeout. I can't
Yeah.
go anywhere, and that's when you just start to straight up panic. But
Yeah.
like as you start learning the sport and learning how to do it, you start learning how to quiet those,
The noise.
voices,
Yeah.
those all that noise in your head, to really just say to yourself, like, okay, I can back off, I can move around, take a deep breath, and get back in there. But at the
Sure.
competition level, it's I learned because I've been sparring and boxing for like I said since 2017, but that competition gear is just different.
It's a
Like
whole new different gear.
it's so intense, because especially in the amateurs, the difference is in amateur boxing, it's only 3 rounds, 2-minute rounds.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
you watch the Olympics, if you watch any amateur boxing, which is headgear, usually a guy in all blue and a guy in all red. All those fights are 3 rounds, 2-minute rounds. And what that means is you got to get to work immediately.
Fast. There's no like I'll get him at the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round. You gotta go boom right ahead. Guns blazing.
You got to start throwing punches. Either like it's not like I'm a big boxing fan, so I watched the David Benavidez fight on Saturday, and
Yeah.
if you watch your Floyd Mayweather's, you go on YouTube, you watch any of those fights, the pros is very bell dings, and they kind of like size each other up and move and then stick and then kind of
Yeah.
figure it out, and then next round kind of warm up. Like, no, in the amateurs, like as soon as that bell rings, you got to just go at each other.
Go at it. Yeah.
Because it's all about points. It's all about landing
Enough
shots that
punches
matter,
and shots that matter. Yeah.
Then get the judges to really be on your side.
For sure.
It's all about like I have to impress this judge, because it's very unlikely at the amateur level, even though I've seen it.
Right.
It's very unlikely at the amateur level that you'll knock someone out. I mean, like it's just too fast.
Just doesn't happen. Yeah.
And what I did was I competed at what they call the Masters, which is basically a fancy term for old. So what the Masters is 41 and up. So
Okay.
Once you hit 41 years old,
Right.
you can only fight people who are 41 and older.
And up. Okay.
And then also at that level, you use 16-ounce gloves. as opposed to 12,
Okay.
makes a huge difference.
Huge
Like
difference. Yeah.
people don't
Yeah.
realize like the difference in glove sizes. Like,
Yeah.
16 ounce. I only train and spar in 16 ounces because that's what you're supposed to do when you spar. You're supposed to wear 16 ounces.
Right.
And when I learned that, like, as I got into the sport, and you learn, basically up from, the lightest to about junior middleweight, which is 154 pounds, they use 8-ounce gloves,
Oh.
which is like,
Yeah.
people have no idea how small that is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Very
like
tiny.
oven mitts.
Yeah.
It's like putting oven mitts on your hands. Like, there's no padding. That's why
No
those guys
give.
wrap their hands like
So
thick,
tight. Yeah.
because it's nothing. So,
Yeah.
and then beyond that is 10 ounce. So even Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, 260 pounds, those guys are fighting in 10-ounce gloves, which are like,
Yeah.
I've tried a
Ridiculous.
pair on. I had
Yeah.
to like push to get my hand
To get him in there so tight. Yeah. Wow.
It's wild. Yeah.
Is training tougher than the actual fight? People always say practice is like really harder than the game or the sport. Is training tougher than the actual bout?
I wouldn't say it's tougher, because I got to tell you, that fight was the toughest thing I've ever done. But
Okay.
the training, what happens is, and why I really give my credit to a lot of like boxers who do this for real, is the training just makes it not as fun anymore. I mean, like, I love the sport, and I'm having so much fun now that I got my fight out the way, and I'm just
Yeah.
back to, going in the ring and sparring, and, keeping it light and moving and just having fun, and then training and, working on my drills and everything. But when you are training for an actual fight in a fight camp, everything is methodical, and you question, like, man, did I do enough? Like, did I, he kind of got me in that last sparring session. Am I ready for this? So your mental is just all over the place.
Yeah.
So like the actual training, to directly answer your question, the
Yeah.
training for the actual fight is nothing like just regular training. I mean,
Yeah.
I had to put in road work. I hate running, but you really got to put in that.
Build your stamina up. Yeah.
You got to put in. Well, it's all about your legs, like, so everybody thinks boxers run because of their heart, for
Yeah.
cardio, which is true, but you mostly run to get your legs in shape, because
Yeah.
your legs are the first thing to
That
go
go.
in terms
Yeah.
of when you're tired.
You don't want
And
spaghetti
when you
legs.
move your legs, you just stand. You're a statue, and then
Yeah.
you're just done.
Game over.
So
How sore are you after sparring or fight? How sore were you? A couple days?
pretty sore. I mean, well, I
Yeah.
mean, like, I'm kind of used to it now, but like, in the beginning, some guys go in there without headgear on and stuff, and they'll kind of play around and like to spar, but so I've had some pretty nasty, like, little bruises on my face and stuff. So usually the headgear, that's what it's for. It usually
Yeah.
keeps the cuts out. And, but in terms of actual soreness, I mean, I've done it enough years now where, like, I'm not crazy sore when I'm done. But I mean, it's truly something where my body is just done. Like,
Yeah.
'cause I've played football, I've played lacrosse, I've played, a bunch of sports, and like I said, I've done all the Orange Theories and the F45s and the Run 5Ks and the, not Tough Mudder, but I've done something similar to those, like, kind of, obstacle course
Right.
runs, like that. I've done all that stuff, but it doesn't really equal the amount. I mean, you could wring out your shirt in terms of sweat.
Sweat.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's just
Buckets.
like a different level of
Yeah.
because you're just working everything.
Yeah.
And so the soreness isn't. But at first it's vicious.
It's vicious for sure.
It's really bad.
Who was more nervous, you or your soon-to-be wife, with this boxing thing? Any pushback from her, or she was happy for you?
I wouldn't say there was pushback. She was as supportive as they come.
Good.
Does she want me to do it again or many other times? No. She was probably nervous more for the fact that I was putting so much pressure on myself to do it because it had been so many years since I started boxing, and I've worked corners for a couple of my friends who have done it, and I never got my chance to really do it. So I was like, oh, here's my chance to really like actually fight in a
Yeah.
real fight.
Yeah.
So I was like, my diet was insanely strict, and putting in all this work. So she knew how important it was to me. So I know she was just her nerves were through the roof because she just wanted me to win. And of
Yeah.
course she was a little nervous, you know, physically. But I mean,
Yeah.
but it was just more so, she just knew how much pressure I was putting on myself. And to tell you just a really really quick story that maybe made her a little more nervous was I was the 10th fight of 11 that night. So
Okay.
a lot of waiting on
Yeah,
me.
more anxiety. If it was like the first fight, get it out of the way. All right, good. We're good.
Yeah, I was the
But the
10th fight.
anxiety build up, right?
Oh man, like and you're just you're in there warming up and trying to keep not listening to the crowd and everything.
Right.
But the third fight of the night, a guy got knocked out cold. Like I mean,
Oof.
guy went low with overhand right and just knocked him out. Like the sound of his body hitting the canvas was deafening.
Wow.
And he was out. Like when I say out cold, he was out cold for like a good little bit. So I'm sure her seeing that, she
Yeah.
was like, "Oh
There's
my god!"
no way he's
Because
going in
now
there
I gotta
tonight.
say that's very rare for amateur fights. That doesn't really happen
Right.
a lot. It can happen obviously, but it's super rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sure that added to it. But she was like, I mean, in terms of support, I couldn't have done it without her for sure. I
For
mean,
sure.
she was just the best.
That's awesome, man. What's your ring name? And the corners really matter? Red, blue. I always hear corners. Do they really matter?
My ring name was City Boy.
City Boy. I gotta write that down.
City Boy.
City
Rob
Boy.
City Boy Cruz.
Nice. Why City
Um,
Boy?
I mean, a couple of people had kind of said that to me. I mean, I've heard that been called that in the gym a couple of times.
Okay.
Um, but it wasn't like something that stuck.
Okay.
But I was like mulling over different names, and I'm like,
I like it.
it's a pretty good one because I
Yeah.
was like, I'm from New York and I'm living in the South, so it's like City Boy.
Okay.
And then obviously, I'm sure the younger generation has a different term with City Boy, more like a player and all that.
For sure. For sure.
But it's more like a moniker, like when I got in the ring, like I felt like, yeah, I was just truly like not how I am outside the ring.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
was like, so I was
All
like,
right.
yeah, that works. I like that. And then in terms of the corner, like the colors don't really matter. I mean, like,
Okay.
if you're red or blue.
Okay.
Now my corner guys, like
Yeah.
my two boys, shout out to Jose All Day Hardy and my boy Brandon Mark. They're two of my best friends that I've known for years out here. And they're my boy Brandon has actually done this before, and I was in his corner. He's on my age too, in his 40s. He did it a couple of years ago. My boy Jose, he boxes as well. So, they were in my corner. I had a good friend of mine, Dustin Kawa. Shout out to him, who owns an amazing sports uh, sports apparel company called Takedown.
Okay.
Where he started making singlets for wrestlers because he was a wrestler, and now he makes athleisure, and he makes different fight wear for jujitsu, MMA, all kinds of stuff, and even uniforms for out people schools and stuff out here. So shout out to Takedown because they made me like a tank top and made my guys like the cornerman shirts and everything.
That's awesome.
But I gotta say, I would think, you watch the movies, and you watch boxing, and you see the boxers sit down on the stool and get the water and
Yeah.
the big inspirational speeches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hit them with this, do this, and I gotta say, Ken, I didn't hear none of it.
Really?
I didn't hear none of it. I mean, like,
Wow.
my nerves
Adrenaline. Yeah. Kicking
was
in.
just
Yeah.
so spiked that I couldn't even focus on what they were saying. Like, I mean,
Wow.
I mean, I was just in my mind, like I was just like trying to, again, like I said earlier, I was trying to catch my breath and just, calm back down because, um, like I said, I've sparred, 6 rounds. I think the most I've done in a row was 6 rounds, which I promise you, anyone who's boxed 6 rounds in a row,
That's
it's
a
a
lot.
lot.
That's a lot. It is a lot.
And I've done that in a row. And I'm talking after the first round of this 2 minute round, I felt like I had done all 6 of those rounds. Like I was
Wow.
that
Jesus.
tired, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because my nerves were just on spike
Cloud
right
nine.
at that point.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So yeah, so being in the, and you hear people screaming, you hear people, but it's mostly muffled because you're just so locked in,
Yeah.
like and where we had the event was an actual place that has boxing events. So this was my first time fighting under the lights, like they say. And I'd always heard this term, but it's kind of like the same as, if somebody does stand-up comedy or if you're on
Yeah.
a play where like the lights are so bright you can't
So
even really
bright. Yeah.
see past them. You just see the ref, the opponent, and the ring, and you just kind of hear muffled sounds beyond that. But other than that, you don't physically see anything past it.
Where and how far you see yourself doing this for? And you got the first fight out the way. Is there a fight two, a fight three, or you're like one and done?
I got to be honest. One and done might be leaning towards one and done, and
Okay.
the only reason I say that is it goes back to the whole difference between amateur and pro. Is not to say I would go pro,
Yeah.
but the pace of amateur boxing is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's like I'm having so much fun being back in the gym and sparring and and just playing and moving around the ring and working on inside game, tying up guys and doing all kind. You don't do that stuff in the amateurs. Like the amateur,
Right.
like I said, you just go in there and
Just
start
spar.
punching.
Yeah. You start punching. Yeah.
So like 44 years old. You know what I mean? And I had toyed with it because I did really well, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I have a knack for it, and I've done really well with boxing, especially for my age. So I've had coaches say like, "Well, do you want to? We think you'd be pretty good if you wanted to try because they have like national masters tournaments in
Okay.
Vegas.
Okay.
So like you
That's pretty
could
dope.
sign up, and I could fight guys who are my age and older, and you could potentially win like a national masters championship. Um, but I got to I'm running a company with my brother, and I got a lot of going on, and that's it's a lot, and it is taxing on your body. You don't want to, you know, the more punches you take to your head, you realize, okay, I see why these guys either space these fights out.
Yeah. 6 months. Yeah.
We're all as fans being like, come on, man, like he
Fight
ain't fought
again.
in a
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
he ain't
Yeah.
fought in 6 months. I'm like, yeah, I know why.
Yeah.
Because you need that time off, and
Right.
but yeah, putting in that kind of training, and and amateur boxing is such a sprint in terms of like the pace. I can't say I don't know if I would really do it again. I mean, maybe I would do another event like I did, like a local event or something. Maybe I would get back into it and do something like that. So I'd never say never. I'm never going to sit here and say I would never do it again, but
Okay.
leaning towards probably not at the moment.
So you're retiring today on the show.
Yeah, official. I'd be like Tyson Fury, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'll retire one day and
Yeah.
back in the next
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
So yeah, as of now, I guess I'm retired. Yeah.
Your woke up song was Kanye West, Flashing Lights. Why that song? Are we ever gonna get the old Kanye back? Ever?
We'd be so lucky, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't. Will we get him back? I doubt it, man. Because I mean, I feel like he was in a different like he was in a whole different
Headspace.
like path
Yeah.
and headspace when he was making all that music.
Yeah.
I can't remember that documentary where he filmed himself that was on Netflix, but that was incredible. I watched
Yeah.
that.
That was pretty dope.
I mean, I would say I picked that song because a couple reasons. When I first moved when I quit the Cheesecake Factory and I decided to like move across the country to Las Vegas. Um, I remember living in Vegas at the time, and I was like, that song was the song when I
Back
was living
then.
there.
Yeah.
And I remember like, just feeling like I associated that song with a time in my life when I had like, I was scared. I was trying something totally new. I was out of my element, and so that song kind of like brought me back to that time in a good way.
Yeah.
Because again, here I am walking in a ring, scared, out of my element,
Yeah.
all that kind
So
of
kind
stuff.
of bring it back a little bit, take it
Yeah,
back.
yeah. And
You
then,
felt comfortable.
the stylistic reason, it's just a dope song to walk in.
Yeah, for
It's got a
sure.
great intro to,
Yeah.
you know, at the event I was at, the walk in wasn't long, so you didn't have like this, not like a pro who like comes in from a
100
stadium
yards.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like, it was like I mean, I had a whole playlist, trust me. I had a whole playlist of potential songs I was going to do. Um, but yeah, that one just stuck out to me. So I was like, I got to go with this. This is my jam right
What was your rituals? Any rituals before the fight? Nobody can talk to you. You're on lockdown mode, zero dark 30. Any rituals?
there. I can't say, I mean, the day of the fight, yeah, I didn't really talk to anybody. I mean, I just kind of I weighed in because in the amateurs, you weigh in the day
Okay.
of. Which is like something that people don't realize. That's another huge difference in
Between
pro
amateur and
versus
pro.
amateurs.
Yeah.
They weigh in the night before, so they can put on 15 more pounds. So it's like
Wow.
a whole different thing. But so yeah, I went to that weigh in that morning, and as soon as I made weight, I was like, okay, let me get some hydrate a little bit, and eat something, and so I had like a whole day planned on what I was going to eat, but yeah, I mean, I can't say there was a huge ritual, but I knew I couldn't be like talking to people. I needed to be
Yeah,
focused. But at the same time, I didn't want to just like isolate myself and be even more nervous. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I was
yeah,
like, let me go for a walk, let me just chill, because if I get too serious about it, which, in hindsight, that's probably what I would do differently, is not have more fun with it, like
right,
not take it so seriously, because you'll just, just drives those nerves up even higher.
for sure,
But yeah, so I would say like, you know, maintaining a good diet and keeping like, you know, not being totally talking to everybody, but also don't close yourself off completely.
for sure. To me, Leah said it best, right? Age is just about a number. We start to think reach a
Like we're
certain
all
age.
Twisted Pieces.
Yeah, for sure. We reach a certain age and we start to think everything goes downhill. But you're pretty much defining the narrative. If you can do something, go for it, right? So you pretty much come full circle. I'm so happy for you that you got to live out your dream, right? And so to
Yeah,
speak. So that's pretty awesome, man.
no, I really appreciate that, and I couldn't agree more. In terms of, like I said, I met my fiance at 42 years old.
Wow.
She's actually in her 40s as well. So I mean, like I said, ain't no timelines for anything. There's you just got to go with the flow, and let things come to you. So yeah, I would definitely say like, yeah, man, like the age, like I do gotta credit, like there's a book. I'm not a huge book guy, but
Okay.
my therapist recommended a book called The Comfort Crisis, which I recommend so much.
I gotta write that down. The comfort crisis.
The
Okay.
Comfort Crisis by Michael
Okay.
Easton.
Okay.
It's basically a book about how we are just way too comfortable as a society, and we miss out on life because
Yeah.
we're just like, oh, it's too hot out, let me sit in the AC, or let
Yeah.
me, it's we just, if it's not comfortable, we don't want to do it. And boxing kind of start like I subconsciously realized like, oh, maybe that's why I love boxing so much, and then consciously I said, well, then now the fight is like my true test of like uncomfortability, and that's really why I love the sport and doing it, and I'll never stop doing it, is because it forces me. Because I'm 44 years old. I'm sparring guys that are 20,
Yeah.
like
Those guys got a lot of
literally,
adrenaline. Yeah.
literally their parents' age.
Yeah.
And but I'm like, and of course they're faster and stronger, they all that. I mean, and they beat me. I beat them. They beat me. It is what it is. But I mean, but I'm forced to get uncomfortable, and and that's really
That's a good thing.
like where growth happens, and really
Yeah.
like what we. So I mean, I highly recommend. I audiobooked it because I'm not the best like focused reader, but it was an amazing book, changed my life for sure. So like so that on top of the age ain't nothing but a number, because it's easy to say
Yeah.
like, well, I'm old, man, I can't be like doing
I
all
can't do
this.
this. I can't do that. But you can do it, man.
Yeah.
Put your mind to it. You can certainly do it. Favorite boxer growing up?
Favorite boxer growing up, I gotta say, like when you say growing up, like when I was a kid, I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard not to say Mike Tyson because
Okay.
like
Everybody
we were
looked up to Mike
kids.
Tyson. Yeah.
But my favorite, my favorite boxers. I give you this. How about this? I got a favorite like all time. I got a favorite like before my time, and I got a
Okay.
favorite current boxer.
All right. Shoot. Go ahead. Yeah.
So like favorite like before my time, right here, Sugar Ray Robinson. Give you guys a
There we
little
go. Yeah.
view right there.
Perfect.
This is the inspiration for Raging Bull. So that's the real Jake LaMotta, and that's Sugar Ray Robinson. So Sugar Ray Robinson, obviously a New York guy, so you gotta love that. But also as me being mixed race, as a black man, he was, boxing at a time when boxing was when the world was just, let's call it what it is. The world was not favorable, to our
Right.
people. So, but Sugar Ray Robinson was like the first. Not only was he incredible, he was a multiple weight class champion and highly regarded as the best that ever did it. But he also was one of the first to say, like, well, I'm going to start my own promotion or management. So I'm going to start making the money, even though he ended up, mismanaging his money throughout his life, but he was truly one of the first to really have that idea. And obviously, back then, the way boxing was with the underground, let's say, and all that, it was very not
Yeah.
normal to do.
Different. Yeah.
But yeah, I always loved him for that regard. Before my time boxer, I gotta say, like my favorite boxer, I guess he's not officially retired, but he is Triple G,
Okay.
Gennady Golovkin.
Okay.
He was just, I love Golovkin because he, in my opinion, I mean, he was just this offensive juggernaut who, he brought back like the knockout style, and he was a middleweight, which, the middleweights are a great weight class because you're talking guys who are like 180 on fight
Yeah.
night. I mean, middleweight's 160, but like fight night, they're like
One is
175, 180.
175. Yep.
So great mix of like speed and knockout power. Class act was like just Triple G just had this way of he was a very he's boxing.
Yeah. He's boxing.
He,
Yeah.
you know and he had this way of like all these opponents would be how they are at face offs and weigh-ins,
Yeah.
and he would just have this way of kind of just looking at the guy like, yeah, you don't know what you're about to,
Yeah.
you don't know
You're
what
about
you're
to
about
get
to
this
do.
business. Yeah.
And he was just, very accurate, very methodical, which is like the way I like to box. I'm not a volume guy. But just love Triple G. Obviously, well, at the time, people didn't know he was he was Jumpman sponsored, so he had the Jordans. So he always kind of like used New York as his home.
Hmm.
So I always loved Triple G, and I gotta say my favorite current boxer who's still active. I love Caleb Plant.
Okay. Caleb Plant.
Caleb Sweet Hands Plant, former super middleweight champion. Just had a fight last year on the Canelo card. Um, he's got a great. I love him currently because he has a beautiful boxing style. And when I say that, kind of like when I started out, or still do with my coach Isidoro, the Cuban style. So Cuban style boxing is very a lot of footwork, a lot of movement, a lot of move around the ring, very fluid, a lot of rhythm. Cubans almost box to rhythm, like they're dancing.
Of course.
And Caleb Plant has that. I mean, he's not like quote unquote an amateur like Cuban style, but he's got this very slick, effortless way of like moving around the ring, using his jab for range, getting in and out. But just a real like when you like one of those guys like I'll say it like this. He
Uh-huh.
has like like Ken Griffey's swing. When
Smooth.
we saw Ken Griffey
Oh,
swing,
effortless. Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was
Yeah.
just pretty to watch. And
Yeah.
like when you watch Caleb Plant box, he's just got a very it's pretty. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
a very like smooth, he's not a rock'em sock'em knockout guy, but
Right.
he gets the KOs when he is. But I definitely like, he's my favorite current boxer. I love there's a million guys I like right
Yeah,
now,
of course.
but
But he's your favorite.
gotta love him.
Thoughts on Tyson Paul? I know you watched, the whole world watched it. Should Tyson ever box again? Was that fight scripted? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that fight?
He definitely should have boxed again. Not no way, no how. I mean, that just shows you age is no joke. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Father time. Yeah.
and anybody like you know, social media can really trick you. Like I could put together a highlight reel of me training. I
Yeah.
could put together a highlight reel of me like hitting the pads, hitting the bag, jump rope, sparring, and you guys would be like, Rob is a pro
He's
boxer.
a
Like he can
monster.
swing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, then once you get in the ring, all that
Yeah.
goes out
All
the
goes
window.
out the window. Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
it's all. So when people were asking me about that fight, I was like, I mean, if I could, I would bet everything I own that Mike Tyson wouldn't win that fight because you just
Yeah.
he's 56 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, Jake Paul is arguably in the prime.
Of
I
his
mean, I would
career.
say I would
Yeah.
argue 28 is like your prime,
Best
your
years. Yeah.
physical prime.
Yeah.
And um, I wouldn't say. I mean, scripted is a poisonous word. It's hard to say it was scripted, but I mean, but clearly, like after a couple rounds, I'm sure they kind of had like, okay, it's going this way. I mean, Mike's feet were in cement. Like, I mean, he
Yeah.
couldn't
He
even
could
get
move.
up
Yeah. He could move. Yeah. He could move.
there. And so at that point, I mean, I mean, they definitely, they laughed all the way to the bank on that one.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, I don't think Jake Paul can really command like a big pay per view anymore because I feel like he needs these big streaming services to like just stream the fights now because I don't think people are like. I mean, it did huge numbers, but I don't think people would have watched it if it was like $80. I don't think people would have paid to
Yeah.
watch that.
For sure. Now, two restaurants, right? Atlanta, DC. How did this come about? This whole side street hustle thing. How did it come about? This whole restaurant thing you got going on in the airports.
Oh, so my dad. So the company, my dad started the company in 1972.
Wow,
But
all
he
the way
was
back then. Wow.
on the street. He started, but
Okay.
in the airport, my dad was what he did was he was the first to bring like newsstands and he did bookstores at first because in the 70s that was pretty much the only mode of entertainment you had
Back
one of
then.
those.
Yeah.
And then he started morphing it to like newsstands, candy gum, mints, that kind of thing. And that was mainly just in Newark, JFK, LaGuardia. And then his first kind of venture out was into DC. And then eventually he had expanded that to, about 50 some odd stores around the country.
Wow.
So at the time, when I was, working with you guys, he was pretty much retired at the time.
Right.
So he wasn't really in the business then. So when I left, he called me up and said, hey, Rob, I might be getting back in the business. would you like to, get involved? And I said, yeah, I would. He's like, we're going to be doing a lot more food now. So, I know you have experience working in restaurants. So, you want to come aboard? And I said, yeah. He's like, great. You're going to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So, I mean, I worked in the warehouse and I went to LA and worked at our stores in LA, just, working cash registers and, stocking and all that stuff. I had no kind of authority over anybody. I was just a worker. And then in 2008, they won the contract here in Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta and then, saw the actual rise of the operation and how it goes. And I was, I mean, the first 2 years I was here, I had no life, man. I was at that airport 24/7,
24/7 grinding.
24/7. And
Yeah.
then, so like through all that, I had learned every aspect of it. I was, a manager of one of our candy stores, and then I was, the ops guy. Then we opened up a full blown restaurant, which I was like the manager and then GM of that. So, and then all of that came to a point where okay, we're going to start growing the company a little more. We're going to get into corporate development, and that's when I started my like so-called 9 to 5 part of it, where I started doing the business development side of the whole thing, in which I would go to different airports and bid. So in our industry, these are all government contracts. So when the airport wants restaurants in the airport,
Uh-huh.
they put out a bid, an RFP that says we want 10 restaurants in this terminal. We want pizza over there. We want a bar over there. We want coffee over here. So you don't pick where things go. They say where they want, but then they
Okay.
ask you, what are you going to bring? Like, what are you going to bring us? So my job was to go to, different cities, talk with restaurateurs, say, hey, you want to open this in the airport? Work out licensing deals and and then put these RFPs together to bid on these contracts, and then you win. And then
Yeah.
as soon as you win those, it goes into a design phase and lease negotiations, and that's kind of like a 30,000 foot view of kind of like how I started it and where I
Right.
am today.
That's awesome,
And
man.
it culminated in 2019 where excuse me, my brother and I, we raised capital. We went found a debt partner and raised capital, and we bought out my dad and his past partner. So now we're the full blown owners now, and continuing on the legacy.
That's awesome, man. Any lessons learned from CCF to prepare you for this? Any challenges in opening up this concept? Any challenges, by the way?
Oh, there's challenges are like constant. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a constant challenge. I would say like the things from the cheesecake I definitely learned, which I loved, was Cheesecake was the first restaurant I worked at that had a corporate structure to it. I mean, every other restaurant I worked at was like, a GM, a manager in the back, a couple cooks, a couple servers,
Yeah.
you know, count your money, go
You
home.
go home. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Cheesecake Factory was the first time I was privy to, operating procedures and order guides and the menu rollouts as
Yeah.
like all that, and that kind of corporate, structure is when I'm like, oh, okay, like this is
Yeah.
this is
This is
for
it.
real. So
Yeah.
I always attribute my where I am to starting out from the cheesecake is like because that was a no joke like corporate run restaurant, which
Yeah.
is still successful obviously today because we're
Yeah.
still doing it in a big way.
For sure. How hard was it to come up with the menu? Any any was it tough? Was it easy? Was it I got this?
Well, normally what happens is we're licensing brands, right? So for instance, I'll just say, say you have a burger spot,
Okay.
Hutchins Burgers.
Uh-huh.
You know, if I'm opening that in the airport, I'm going to pay you a royalty just like a franchisee
Okay.
would pay on the street. But the reason why I'm even doing it, the reason why I'm even talking to you is because, you got a great business going. So you're giving me your menu to replicate in the airport. Now, in the airport environment, there's a lot of nuances. So you can't just do the same thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
because you have
Yeah.
very limited storage. You have to serve breakfast no matter what your concept is. So you got to be serving breakfast at 5 a.m.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like things like that. But and so we've come up with a few concepts in our day, like a few proprietary concepts.
Okay.
But mostly coming up with a menu is not is what we're counting on the brand to do, because you already have a great menu. So that's one of the reasons why these brands can charge a royalty, is
Yeah.
because we're using your menu, your order guides, your operating procedures, all that.
Craziest story you encountered with a guest. Which one sticks out to you?
In the in the cheese or on the airport?
At the airport.
Oof. Um,
There's some crazies out there.
some wild stuff in the airport.
Yeah.
I remember one time. I remember one time there was this woman. She was just going around reciting Bible hymns to people. Like, she would walk up to them
Really?
and then just start talking, this Bible hymn, and then she would stop and then go to another person and do the same thing. And I was like, it was a very strange situation
Yeah.
because you can't say anything. Like, she's not doing anything
Nothing
wrong.
wrong.
Like, she's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
talking. She's not screaming. You know, that. And I will say, one woman in Atlanta, I don't know what happened. She got really upset with customer service, and she took off all her clothes and started walking down
No.
the terminal naked.
Wow. I thought I seen enough. I thought I seen it all in the restaurant business.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, because I gotta say, in the restaurant business nowadays, I mean, you might know better than me, but I feel like, as a patron now, I feel like the staff has like almost more power over, like, when
Yeah.
I was working at the Cheesecake. I mean, I was like, yes, sir, no, sir,
Yeah.
right away, sir, yes. But now that all these concepts are they're
Changing and
stretched thin
evolving.
on labor, and it's
Yeah.
hard to find good people. I feel like nowadays, like, do people even have bad stories about? I'm sure they do, but
Yeah.
I feel like the guest stories, they're probably a thing of the past now, because you
Yeah.
almost could get vilified if you were a horrible customer. Someone might hit record on their phone, and
Yeah.
that's a
Share
wrap
it.
for you.
Yeah. Goes viral. Game over. What's your favorite thing on the menu? What's your go-to on the menu right now?
Which menu?
The one that you have in Atlanta or DC.
Man, we operate 34 brands between. Sorry, we have 34 locations, probably like 17 brands, something like that.
Okay.
But I would say my go-to. So we were the very first company to bring kava into an airport. You had kava
Oh,
before?
Kava. Yeah, I have Kava before. Okay.
Yeah. So when I met Brett Schulman, who's the CEO, they had seven, or they had eight total,
Okay.
8 total restaurants. And
Wow.
then we opened the first one over at Reagan Airport. And I gotta say, like, that, now that they're around, I'm so happy, because for the longest time, Kava was not in Atlanta. But what my go-to, that's probably still my favorite, like, menu item, is getting a bowl of, like, the greens and grains over there, and the red pepper hummus, and
Yeah.
they have steak now, which is delicious. And
Pretty good.
that was always my jam, man. Like, I used to love that. I used to eat that all the time.
That's awesome, man. Who's the bigger staff? Atlanta, DC, expansion in the future? You're from Jersey, maybe Newark. You move back to Newark. Who knows, right?
Right now, our our biggest staff concentration is in LA.
Okay.
We have like 13 locations in LAX. So most of our team is, numbers wise is out in LA.
Okay.
We're always trying to expand. I mean, at one point before COVID, and when we were working with our partners, as a development guy, like I said, I think out of the top 30 cities in America, I've only not been to, or sorry, top 50 cities in America, I've only not been to like six.
Wow.
I think I'm missing like six or something like that.
Okay.
So I was all over. I've been to every airport you can think of, I've been in this industry 17 years now. So, um, you know, we go to conferences and stuff. So I know, me and my brother are very well known in the industry, and so I
Yeah.
know all the CEOs and all the different
The
airport
entities.
executives around the country. So we were always trying to go everywhere, but I feel like right now we're still concentrated on growing in Atlanta and
Okay.
DC, where we have a lot of business, but we're always looking at like LaGuardia, JFK, Dallas, Denver. Those are really really good airports and good markets to be in.
How was COVID, man? Tough time, rough time. You're like, man, I don't know. We're gonna survive this thing. Any some tough days during COVID?
The toughest, because in my industry, I mean, pretty similar, to you. I mean, in
Yeah.
hospitality, for most parts, um, revenue stopped.
Yeah.
Like when COVID happened, like I don't think people really understand that difference. Like you might work for a sales company and your revenue dipped 50% or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and in the airport, things were closed, so we're not the street. We
Yeah.
can't do DoorDash, we can't do like to go windows. So when you close the terminal down,
And
zero
there's no money
zero
coming in.
revenue.
Yeah, no money coming in. Yeah.
So Atlanta is the busiest airport in the world in terms of traffic. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but
Hmm.
it's the busiest airport in the world. Concourse B in Atlanta is the busiest concourse there. So there's about 24 million people that walk through that concourse every
Wow.
year.
Wow.
I have a video where during COVID, it was me literally at like 12 noon, not one person
Not one
in
guest
there,
in there.
like The Walking Dead, like
Wow.
totally ghost town. So COVID was absolutely, it decimated us as an
Tough time.
industry.
Yeah.
Um, 9/11, because even like I would call, past mentors and being like, trying to compare it to that, being like, what'd you guys do during 9/11?
Right.
Because that was a huge problem. And they were like, 9/11 wasn't anything compared to this, because 9/11 was an American problem.
Right.
COVID was a world
World
problem.
problem. Yeah.
So,
Good point.
9/11 pretty much, wore off. I wouldn't say wore off, but, the traffic came back within like months,
Yeah.
within about 3, 4 months, the traffic was, back to
Normal.
normal-ish
Normalcy.
levels.
Yeah.
COVID was just, I mean, it exposed a lot of the inconsistencies in our industry, and it was decimating. We had to furlough or let go of 90% of our company.
Staff. Wow.
Yeah. And
It's
me and my
unbelievable.
brother had just, like I said, we raised that capital and purchased the company.
Yeah.
We had just done that like in December, and this all happened in
Like
March.
March. And it was like,
So it
what
was
the
like,
hell? Yeah.
so I went from a boardroom in New York, purchasing the company,
Yeah.
to driving a truck, like
Yeah.
that.
Just like
Like,
that.
I mean, like, because we had no delivery people. So when I first moved to Atlanta, when I was like 27, I was the delivery guy. So guess what? Here I am, like 39, 40 years old,
Yeah.
owner of the company, but I'm like back to driving the truck again, because we had to
Yeah.
fire, we had to let everybody go. So it
Yeah.
was it was it was a nightmare for
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely.
But I mean, we tested, we stood the test of time. Shout out to literally every single person in our industry, all of my
Yeah.
colleagues and friends around the different companies
Yeah.
and owners around the country, who all weathered the storm, and
Yeah.
made it through because, like, again, that was like another boxing metaphor where it was like, you made it through this, you can make it through anything. You know
For
what I mean?
sure. For sure.
So it was good. So I found the good in it in that sense. Like where
Yeah.
we faced like pretty much the most difficult thing you could face in our industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Atlanta's a big hub, right? Home to Coca-Cola, Target, Home Depot, Delta. Like people
Delta.
don't know. Yeah. It's Atlanta's a huge, huge market, man. He's Rob Cruz, President, CEO, RC3 Enterprises, Chief Development Officer, Managing Partner at Cruz, boxer, and dear friend of mine, joining us on the program today. Thoughts on the 2024 Yankee season and losing to the Dodgers? I mean, how brutal was that to watch? Terrible.
I mean,
No World Series since 2009, man. Yeah, it's tough.
I feel like had we won game one,
Yeah,
different series.
yeah, yeah,
Different series. I mean,
yeah.
like we had that game, man. Like, I mean, drop balls, it's like this crazy double-edged sword. Like the guys that got you there made the
Yeah,
mistakes, but it's like
yeah. Here we go
it
again.
was a gut punch. But I mean, I think all in reality, when you looked at the Dodgers lineup, and like,
They were
I mean,
stacked.
the fact that Shohei was not a non-factor
Yeah,
and they still beat us,
Freeman just was on
that
another
that
level.
tells you right what you need to know.
Of
I
course,
mean, like
obviously.
when the best player ever
Yeah,
doesn't really do anything, and they still beat you, it's like,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, how much were we spoiled, right? We saw 5 championships back in our day, right? Are Yankee fans spoiled?
That's funny. That's a good question. I mean, like, I feel like they are in a way. I mean, but not the. I mean, when I was a fan in the '80s,
Yeah,
we were
they
like the
won
Dodgers.
nothing.
Tom Mattingly was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
96ers, the fan since '96.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, it's hard to say that they're spoiled. And then the whole evil empire narrative and all this stuff, I don't ever want to hear that again. Because like
yeah.
now when I look around sports and I look at other teams, y'all are
Everyone's got
doing
money,
the
just
same
as good. Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's all the same thing. Like
yeah,
look at the Dodgers now. I mean,
yeah.
like they're
Endless,
basically like
endless.
all-star team from Japan, like
Yeah,
they're scooping up everybody.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I would say, and I think people don't realize like those championship teams, they didn't necessarily buy a team like Jeter, Posada, Pettit,
hmm
all homegrown. Bernie,
yeah,
we had
yeah.
Scott Brocious. He's not an all-star. Like
Tino Martinez. Yeah, yeah.
Came from
Soriano. Yeah.
Seattle,
hmm
but like, so he was an add-on, but like, Girardi, most of these guys were, kind of like, just good players that they put together.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe 2009 you can kind of make that argument because I think AJ Burnett had the best,
yeah. The
he had his
best
best
stuff.
postseason ever that
Oh
year.
yeah, yeah. He was
But
phenomenal.
man, what a like, in terms of like natural stuff, I mean,
Yeah,
that guy was
monster.
incredible. I mean, I
Yeah,
know he never really put it together.
right.
I think also a lot of Yankee fans forget like A Rod had an incredible postseason in '09.
He did. Yeah,
You got to shout out to him. Like he
yeah.
definitely came through for us. Like when people want to talk mess about him.
Right.
But I mean, I think we had more of a scrappier team than people gave us credit for in those
Yeah.
championship years.
You still hate the Red Sox, or you let it go?
More than anything, man. I mean, I can't. I feel like the rivalries died. I mean, I watched the Netflix thing that kind of ignited me a little bit.
Yeah.
That comeback thing. But Ken, do you remember? Don't you remember Game 7 when we were sitting
Yeah.
outside the stadium?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that, man.
We couldn't get our tickets.
Couldn't get the tickets. Yeah. You remember that, huh? Look at that.
I remember that
Man.
vividly. I mean, like, because I was at Game 1 that series.
Yeah.
When Moose almost had a no hitter.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he had like
Mhm.
a no hitter going into like the 6th or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was against Schilling. Like we beat Schilling in Game 1, and then Game 7, and then but man, I gotta say, I don't know about you, but I feel like any Yankee fan who had a good feeling going into that game 7, I did not have a good feeling.
Yeah, I
Like
didn't
I
have a good
was,
feeling.
Kevin Brown on the mound.
Yeah,
I was
just
not feeling good, but I'll never forget that, man, when we didn't get in because I remember
yeah
hearing Johnny Damon's grand slam from out on the park.
on the port. Yeah, we're like, yeah, it's over, it's done. Wow,
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Now you
You
bring that
forgot
up.
about that, huh?
Yeah,
Of
no,
course, man.
yeah, I totally forgot about. I gotta write that down in my notes here. I totally forgot about
Yeah,
that.
we had a whole
Man,
like crew. I remember hearing
yeah,
us the game on the
on the
radio.
radio, I
Like
was
we were
driving back
driving
home.
home.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, totally forgot about that.
Yeah, we were supposed to be at that game.
We supposed to be at
Thank
that
God we
game.
were.
Yeah, imagine. Oof, more nightmares. Who's your favorite Yankee of all time? I got a feeling who it is, but who's your favorite Yankee of all time?
It's actually a good question.
You probably got many, right? You got many?
I mean, it's Derek Jeter, but
Derek? Okay. Okay.
I mean, when you just look at like his who he was as like a leader and a player, he's just the best. I mean,
Yeah.
like the guy, like all he ever wanted to do was win. He did not take losing lightly.
Yeah.
He was the epitome of just like, this is Yankee culture and this is what we want. And this is what we expect.
Yeah. That was it.
I mean, obviously never saw him play, but I feel like Mickey Mantle was
Yeah,
like
he'd have been great.
probably
Yeah.
one of the, sounds like he was like the greatest player that ever played. Like in terms of talent, he sounded like he was just like the best player ever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, I gotta tell you, Paul O'Neill was like
really workhorse. Oh, attitude.
I have a jersey that I like an authentic jersey I bought from the shop across the street from the stadium.
Right.
21, baby. I that's my guy, man.
That's your guy, Paul O'Neill, the Warrior, right? Yeah, Paul was fantastic. He really, really was. The Mets, they got Juan Soto now. Were you surprised? Were you shocked? Are we better off without Juan Soto?
Can't say we're better off without him. I mean, that's he was huge in the postseason.
Oh yeah, instrumentally huge. Yeah.
But I mean, like, is it the end of the world? I don't think so. I feel like we picked up some great pieces, since he left, and it's just hard for me to like, oh man, like Dominican Republic, Yankees, like
Yeah.
how do you not stay with the Yankees? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
especially after the season you had, like you had one season with us and we go to the World Series.
Yeah.
And you don't want to bring that back, but I don't know, maybe there's something a little more at play, that we don't know about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it stung a little bit, but again, at the end of the day, he's with us 1 year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, so it's like,
yeah, doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt as much. Mets win a World Series in 5 years. If not, Soto leaves. He can opt out after 5 years. What do you see this thing? How do you see this thing playing out? The Mets over the last 5 seasons, the next 5 seasons.
I gotta be honest, man. I want the Mets to be good. I feel like
really, you're rooting for the Mets.
I feel like people don't understand. Like, I don't think there's as much Met Yankee beef as people think there is. I mean, like Mets hate us. Like the Mets, they hate the Yankees
more than we hate them.
I can't say. Like, I got other teams I hate. I hate the Red Sox and the Astros way more than the Mets.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm not like. I would love for them to be good again, just for like that whole maybe to ignite a rivalry again. I mean, when I was a kid, the Mets were better.
Than the
Yankees. I mean, in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah.
Were dominant. I mean, Strawberry, Keith Hernandez, Dwight Gooden, Carter. Those guys were nasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same as the Jets and the Giants. Like I don't hate the Jets. I mean, I would love for the Jets to be good, just not the day they play the Giants.
What's it going to take for us to forgive Aaron Judge dropping that ball in center field?
That was pretty bad, Ken. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously a title. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta
win.
Reverse it that way. You just gotta win. I mean, winning cures all, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, yeah, that was rough. I mean, because like I said, without that, I feel like game 1 is ours. Totally different situation. You know what I mean? But yeah,
that's pretty tough.
He's got to win one.
Was that a tougher drop, Aaron Judge or Mark Andrews from the Ravens? They were both pretty bad.
I would say Mark Andrews from the Ravens is worse
Yeah, big
because like at
game.
least after Judge you have chances to win. I mean, like
Yeah, yeah. The series wasn't over yet, but
that Mark Andrews drop, that's
yeah,
rough, man. I feel for
yeah.
that guy.
I
I
feel
mean,
for him too.
and the fact that the Ravens. I mean, I think the Ravens would have had a better shot. Like, I mean, I love Buffalo. I hope they, I root for them. But like, that's a tough job, man. Like
Yeah,
that's especially on a 2 point, like right there.
right.
There was I forget the guy's name, but the guy who dropped the ball in the Buffalo KC, you can't really blame that.
Yeah, you
Like
can't really. Yeah, it's tough.
that
Yeah,
that he dropped it
tight end.
technically, but
Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah.
that's a tough.
Kincaid.
That's
Yeah, Kincaid. Tough drop. Yeah,
Andrews dropped like a
yeah,
basket catch, like 2 point walk in.
yeah,
That's tough, man.
yeah. Thoughts on your Giants, your beloved Giants? I mean, you saw championships. How would you fix the Giants? Draft picks, fire the coach, new GM, ownership. How would you fix the Giants?
I mean, as they stand right now, um, I gotta say, if I was the owner, like right now, like I'll just say, like from this standpoint, I think the Giants are one of the flattest teams in the NFL. When I say that, like
They're missing an identity, right? There's no identity there.
they don't
Yeah,
they are so like they need a uniform change. They need like something to invigorate the team because they have no spark. Like they have no and like make the legacy uniforms the permanent. Like I'm looking around the league, and I know this stuff might seem trivial to some people, but when you see like every team now has like alternate unis or they
yeah,
have totally new stuff or they go back to like you know the old or whatever it is like um add cheerleaders. I know that I can't remember what the number is, Ken, but I know
yeah.
there's only like a certain amount of teams that don't have cheerleaders.
I think it's the Giants, Steelers, I mean,
Packers, I think.
Packers maybe missing a couple here, but yeah, no cheerleaders, right?
Things like
Never,
that,
ever. Yeah,
like that all that kind of stuff. Like you gotta like, if I were the owner of the team, I would add cheerleaders. I would change the uniforms. Like get you got to reinvigorate the fan base and get some energy into this team.
yeah,
Like and the Gen Z player nowadays,
yeah,
they don't want to like put on they don't feel they feel some type of way putting on that tired NY on the side of the helmet
yeah.
with the same old this. I mean, even your Eagles, man, you guys got the Kelly green, you got
Oh,
the black,
fire.
you got
Yeah,
the white,
yeah.
you got all kinds of like different looks.
Right.
Like you look around the league, the Texans and all these other teams, like you get these things matter. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
like
course.
especially for like these young players who come from colleges
Gotta spice it
who,
up.
shout out to Oregon, who probably started the whole thing.
The
But
Ducks,
like
yeah,
now, every
great.
team I feel like in college has like 5 uniforms.
Different colors, yeah, for sure.
So I mean, like I feel like the Giants from that standpoint need to change that to like
Mhm.
get some energy into the team and to the fan base.
Yeah,
Now, as like on the field, my sole opinion, I go on record because I got my boy Kyle out here who's a diehard Giants fan that we're buddies about it. I watched a lot of Jackson Dart highlights. I love him.
yeah.
I love him. I
Okay.
think he's got that kind of attitude where like I've seen the highlights. He's putting his shoulder down for a first down and jumping up and screaming and on the sidelines. Like the Giants need to let go of this like clone Eli Manning thing.
Yeah,
Like that's where
yeah.
they got in trouble with Daniel Jones because they wanted to like clone Eli. And then then I see all these ridiculous comments from the fan base saying like, "Wait for Arch,
For another
wait
year.
for Arch."
So you're gonna suck
And if
another
I'm not
year?
wrong, Arch hadn't started a season yet.
No. Comes
So
off
I'm
the
like,
bench.
you're trying to tank for just because he's a Manning, like
Yeah.
let it go, guys.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Like let the Manning stuff go. It's done.
Yeah. It's over
You
with.
know, we need
Yeah.
a whole new now. If Cam Ward's there, I'm all for it. I doubt he will be, but if he's there,
Yeah.
I think he doesn't have that fire, but maybe on the flip side, he seems like that calm, cool, collected guy under pressure. I'm not a Shindor. I don't
Sanders,
think that's the
no.
thing we need. I think
Okay.
that's too much.
So you're out on
So
Shador. Okay.
I haven't really seen much of him. I like highlights where I see a quarterback get the pockets closing down and makes a decision. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of highlights nowadays is quarterbacks just chilling in
Yeah.
the pocket
Looking.
and
Yeah.
throwing
Throwing.
bombs,
Yeah.
which makes me nervous about Cam Ward a little bit because there's a lot of him just kind of sitting. Where Jackson Dart, you know, he's the SEC guy, so while I do think the SEC their run is
Yeah. Pretty much
diminishing,
diminished. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
but at the same time, they still the SEC. So you're
Still
still
got to respect
facing
them.
top tier defensive
NFL ready
linemen.
guys. Yeah.
You're facing somebody who can like sit in the pocket and get out of the pocket and make stuff happen. I mean, I just been watching him and I think he's it. So I think, and when I say that, we're sitting at number 3, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the old the old saying is like you don't pick for need unless it's a quarterback.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, which I don't know, pick for need, that whole philosophy flies with me, but if you need a quarterback, you need to pick quarterback.
Yeah.
Like you can't, and I just don't see how the Giant, like, all the boards, I'm watching all the different podcasts and everything. And everybody's saying, oh, Travis Hunter 3, Jackson Dart 2nd round. And
Wow.
I'm like, is he going to be there? I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
guys,
don't
we
think
got to
so.
think. You got the Jets, Saints, and Raiders sitting right behind us.
Yeah.
We're all sure those guys are not going to take
Yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
like,
know.
if that's your guy, you got to get him. Like, you got
Yeah.
to start getting out of your head about like
For
where
sure.
they're supposed to go. Like, and I gotta trust. I actually am probably one of the few that I like keeping Dayball and
Okay.
Shane.
Okay.
I just don't feel like I feel like resetting all the time is tough. I mean,
Starting all over.
there's arguments
Yeah.
to both. There's
Yeah.
arguments to both. Getting rid of them, keeping them, whatever. But I think keeping them was right. And from what I've read and seen from that Hard Knocks season, was Dayball was obsessed with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Like, I heard he tried everything to get him to trade up.
Yeah.
Obviously nobody was having it. So I feel like the guy knows quarterback talent. I feel like when they extended Daniel Jones, they were kind of in a bind. I just feel like,
Yeah.
in hindsight, it's a dumb move. Yeah, I mean, maybe the 5th-year option was a better play.
Yeah.
But we had won a playoff game. We had no draft position.
Yeah.
So it was like, I mean, what are you going to do? Not resign him?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it led to you getting the running back of your dreams. And the Packers and the McKinney loss probably bothers me more than Saquon. McKinney was fantastic. I loved having McKinney on our team.
How painful was now seeing Saquon now in the Eagles? How painful was that? More pain, or from that, or from boxing? Seeing Saquon leave your Giants.
I mean, I gotta be honest, Ken. It doesn't bother me that much.
Okay.
I mean, like I love Saquon. I think he's, clearly talent-wise, he's like one of the best running backs ever. Like, I mean, in terms of a running back coming out of college, it's hard for me to think of a running back that was, more of a sure thing as a running back than him. I mean, Reggie probably had a more
Bush, yeah,
extravagant career.
Yeah.
But he still had, he had size issues. He wasn't a true like,
every down
hand the
back
ball off to him 20 times guy.
Yeah.
Saquon was like Ricky Williams all over again.
Oh yeah. For
You know,
sure.
so I understand the talent, and I hated that he had to go. Um, but it doesn't bother me that much. You guys had a fantastic offensive line.
Oh yeah,
You
one of the
know,
best in the
you
league for
guys have a
sure.
fantastic defense. Vangio came in.
Yeah, did wonders.
You guys got AJ Brown, Smith. It's not like
Goddard.
you
Yeah.
guys were terrible and then
Right.
Saquon made you good.
Right.
But obviously, with that being said, I gotta, I'm probably one of the very few in this world that has to say go Chiefs because I can't have y'all winning the Super Bowl with Saquon.
Wow. Go Chiefs, huh? Okay. All
I
right.
mean, there's no other circumstance. Any other circumstance, I don't want them to win. But I can't have Saquon win the Super Bowl year one after leaving us. I mean, that's just
Oh man, be hard to tough pill to swallow there. Eli Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer,
isn't that
or
weird that I have to think about it?
yeah, a little bit.
But again, Ken, I'm a realist when it comes to my Giants. Like I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I do know the years we didn't win the Super Bowl.
He was okay, pedestrian,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah,
he
like
he was good. I mean, he's good. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Do I think he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yeah, I think he
okay,
will be. Do I think he deserves to be? Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, I'm probably again very few Giants fan that's like, gonna fly his flag forever.
yeah.
People forget that the defense was pretty much the reason we won the first time
Oh, yeah,
against Tom
defense was
Brady.
phenomenal. Yeah, it was great,
I mean, like
great.
without that defense, Tom Brady was running for his life the entire
Yeah, the entire time. Yeah, for
The
sure.
second time, different story. Eli came through and played a great game. Um, so yeah, I think he will be. I think he will be a first ballot, and if he gets it, I'm not shocked. But I just think I don't think 100%. But
Yeah.
two Super Bowls. He's got
It-
his Iron Man streak. All that into account.
yeah. In New York, big market, last name Manning, right? I mean, he's got a lot going for him. So we'll see. Thoughts on the Cowboys? Why do you guys hate them so much? Why they get so much flack, the Cowboys?
Why do you guys hate? You hate them too, right?
I think we both hate it. I think the entire league hates them, right? I think.
Yeah. I gotta say, out of all the teams I dislike, they're probably number one.
Okay. Who's number two?
I just feel like they I feel like they have this like misguided confidence. Like, you know what I mean? I think Emmitt Smith's one of the most overrated running backs ever. I
Okay.
really do. He played behind the greatest offensive line ever.
That line was pretty good. Pretty good.
Ever. And he had Michael Irving, he had Troy Aikman. I just feel like the Cowboys, they're just you just gotta hate somebody, and
Yeah.
they're that star and they're just I feel like they're just a good team to hate, and they're number one. You guys, the Eagles, are number two. Only because I've actually faced that fan base before.
Yeah, we're brutal. We're brutal.
I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a friend. My friend, shout out Kyle Gardner. We take a trip every year to see the Giants play on the road.
Okay.
So we started back in 2014. So we are 12 or 13 we've done.
Awesome.
So we're trying to get every stadium.
That's awesome, man.
So I think it was 2017 we did Philly.
And fans were terrible to you guys. Were you drepped out in Giants gear? Or would you got a jersey on?
No, we wore. People told us not to, but I'm like, I'm not gonna not wear my team.
Okay.
But the only thing, Ken, I gotta say why I was so bad is because it was unsolicited. Like we didn't Like if
bother
we were up
anybody.
there talking
Right.
mess and being mean, I get it. But like
Right.
we were keeping to ourselves, doing all this, and we were still getting it. And
Wow.
then I can't. Yeah, it had to be 2017. So we lost on a walk-off field goal. Y'all won on a walk-off field goal.
Hmm.
And we said to each other, because we had been taking it all game, people screaming at us, swearing and everything. And me and Kyle were like, all right, like they just walk off, like 0 on the clock, ball soars through the uprights,
Right.
win. So we're just like, all right, let's wait here and let people leave, because if we leave now,
It's gonna be
we're gonna be
it's
like
gonna be rough.
right in the mix of all that. So we literally waited in the stadium for a while. Like, I mean, people were sweeping up. Like, we waited,
Wow.
and then we left the stadium, and a group of guys still followed us, like screaming, throwing stuff at us.
Oh
Like, we were
man.
just like, yo, like, you guys won.
Yeah.
Again, I'm all for it if I'm chirping at you.
Right.
But if
Right.
I'm
Right.
just keeping it myself, you know what I mean? And you're just chasing me down. I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
Enough is enough.
So,
Yeah. We got to do better, Philly. We got to do better, Philly.
Yeah.
Favorite Giant of all time. You got an all-time favorite Giant player of all time?
Favorite Giant player of all time. I mean, there's so many for so many different reasons. Hard to say not LT, because he's just the greatest.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, I love Rodney Hampton because he was like this shining light when we were terrible.
Yeah.
So you gotta love Rodney Hampton. But I mean, Jeremy Shockey, loved Shockey, man. He's exactly what I'm talking about when you talk about a guy who like brought
that energy. Yeah.
Like he was the greatest, man. Like I love watching him play.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean those guys for sure. Those are some of my favorites.
I know you love your Knicks. Cat to the Knicks. Big fan of Cat being there.
Absolutely.
He's done wonders.
I feel like the Knicks are. I mean, I'm not the biggest. I don't have a ton of basketball knowledge because I gotta say, like, I feel for like Browns, Jets. I feel like for all those teams,
those fan bases. Yeah.
As a Knicks fan, like it's rough. I mean, and then when you move away from home, you don't see them play as often, so you don't really hear about them as much.
Right.
So it's like I lose track, and then I started kind of losing interest almost. I know it's horrible to say, but it is what it is. But I feel like the Knicks, like I love Cat to the Knicks. I think he's a great addition. I mean, Brunson's the man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just like absolutely keeping us like just like when you have a point guard who's like that. I mean, that just gives you. I feel like we're just like a score, like a 3 or maybe even a 2 or 3 or a big guy that can just really like score and get us over that hump.
Right.
Like when they were talking about Giannis leaving in some way, I thought that was like our chance in some way. But I feel like the Knicks just like they're just missing that kind of piece. But
that piece
right now, you got to be just pumped as a Knicks fan because they're in it again and they're full of energy again, and it's just the best.
NBA ratings are down. How would you fix that? 3-point arc, maybe lower the minutes, less games. How do you get the interest back to the fans in the NBA?
So is there like an actual statistic?
Yeah, it's like about 28% they're down. Yeah. The interest is not there anymore.
I think it's because, honestly, these teams can just kind of like gang up and you can make a good team like at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, big threes.
I feel like, but I feel like, I don't know. It's interesting because having the different teams have been winning. I feel like, I mean, it hasn't been the same team.
They've got a lot of young stars, but I think they don't showcase them enough. It's always LeBron and Steph. How about show Wemby, Giannis, Ja Morant? I'll show other guys, other teams. Stop shooting so many damn threes. Everybody shoots threes. It's only one Steph Curry. You know?
That is. I mean, the scores I'm seeing are just wild. Like when I see
Yeah.
like, it's like 140 to like
Yeah.
120, I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Last night it was like 50-19 in the first quarter last night. I was just like, what? Yeah, I was just like, what? How is that even a thing? But they got to do something. Maybe the whole Luca thing to LA, everyone's talking about it, right? Spice it up a little bit. Give the young guys a chance.
Yeah.
Stop shooting so much threes. Maybe lower the minutes, the games. Get the interest back,
Because
Something's
like
missing.
NBA Live is great. Like
Yeah, it's
watching
fantastic.
TV,
Fantastic. Yeah.
but
Fantastic.
yeah, you're right. Something about it on TV is
It's not clicking as
not
it was
really
back in the
clicking.
day. Back in our day.
Well, maybe because
Jordan.
back in the day, like the defense was a little more physical and things
Yeah.
were,
It's very
maybe you could
soft.
start letting stuff slide and getting more like letting them start to ball a little more with each other.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan or LeBron? What do you got?
Jordan, come on. LeBron switched teams. He's done it with different squads. You got to give him that. But Jordan changed the way the game was played in
Okay.
terms of marketing and the game itself. And I feel like as a two, like Jordan's a two, LeBron's a three. But I gotta say, I feel like Kobe should be in that discussion more.
Okay.
I feel
That's
like
fair.
Kobe doesn't get. I feel like it's always. Again, I'm not qualified to like really have in-depth arguments about NBA, but I feel like from what I've seen, it's hard to say rest in peace, to the Mamba. Like, it's crazy that he's really like never. It's really just those two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like he should have that shot. What did Kobe have five?
Yeah,
Rings?
five rings. Yep.
And
But you got to give LeBron some kind of credit, though, right? Father Time. This guy's 40 years old, top 10 player in the league. Like he's unbelievable.
He's probably the most like physically talented player that's ever played.
Yeah.
Like
You can't argue that.
you can't, unstoppable in terms of, especially in his prime. It was like a linebacker out there, like who could handle and shoot,
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like Jordan just like he defensive player of the year a couple times, just more well rounded, So
I think guys feared him too. Guys don't really fear LeBron as much as they fear Jordan.
yeah, that's a good
right?
point.
Yeah, definitely. You see, like Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee still get talked about to this day. Why is that, you think?
Well, Muhammad Ali was like he was in the forefront of a lot of racial, unrest in the country.
Back then, yeah.
Stood up for what he believed in, and Muhammad Ali fought in Africa and the Philippines. Like just truly global in terms of what he's doing, what he did. Bruce Lee. I think Bruce Lee was just again like somebody who he brought something to kung fu movies existed forever, but he's the one who brought it to the masses.
Yeah.
He's the one who
just way of
took that
thinking.
chance like against like people from his own culture's will and said, but I want to share this with the world, and I want to, so guys like that, are reach icon status when you get to do things like that.
For sure. Just his way of thinking too, very deep in thought.
Oh, I have so many. He has a lot of great quotes.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing about his whole thing about water.
Yeah.
You put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a tea kettle, it becomes a tea kettle.
Yeah.
It can flow, it can crash. He's like, it can do anything.
Yeah.
So he says, "Be water."
Be water, my friend. That's awesome. Favorite comedian and actor of all time?
Whew. Comedian all time. Richard Pryor's. It's hard to say he's not the best ever. But Chappelle right now. I know like he would never admit it. Like a lot of comedians would always say, "I love stand-up comedy. I've seen it's definitely one of my passions in terms of entertainment. So I've seen all the biggest comics out there now almost, and a lot of small. I go to a lot of small shows. I've seen a lot of great stuff. I've been to the Comedy Cellar, the Mothership, Comedy Store in LA. Um, but right, it's hard not to say that Dave Chappelle's
Dave
the
Chappelle.
best there
Yeah.
because he's crossed over races. The Chappelle he made it the funniest sketch show of all time,
Right.
and he still sells out arenas, and he's almost become like a prophet now. He's such a captivating speaker. I've seen him 3 times. Like
Yeah.
he's such a captivating speaker in the way he does his comedy. So it's hard not to say that he's not my favorite because he's just incredible. He's the best.
Favorite TV show growing up? A-Team, Knight Rider, Saved by the Bell. Who do you got?
Growing up,
Yeah.
man,
Wonder Years.
I used to love all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
trying to think. When I was growing up, I used to watch like
Thundercats, He-Man.
all the cartoons.
Kids these days have no idea, Rob. No idea.
I was seeing this thing about like the intro songs to
Yeah.
cartoons,
Yeah.
bangers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Inspector
Max.
Gadget. Oh,
Inspector Gadget,
Yeah.
DuckTales, Heathcliff,
Tailspin, Animaniacs. Oh,
the best. Like,
Oh.
they all have these awesome, amazing intro songs.
Oh.
that keep you all
Yeah.
hyped up before you watch them is the best.
yeah. The best ever.
In terms of like live action, I mean, like, I love Fresh Prince. I love.
Okay.
Might be a hot take, but before all the mess, the Cosby Show was
Cosby was good. He was
it
good.
was a good show. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was a show that showcased Black people in a light of like, the father's a doctor, the mother's a lawyer. They lived in a brownstone as a family, and they were educated, and they tackled real issues, and it was funny. I mean, it's hard to say that wasn't an amazing show, culturally. Obviously, didn't turn out well with Mr.
With
Cosby.
Bill. Yeah.
That was great. But yeah, all those. I mean, those when I was a kid, man, it was all about the cartoons.
Yeah. Saturday
Yeah.
mornings, G.I. Joe. Yeah.
All that stuff. I mean, and I actually said this to a friend of mine a little while ago. You remember, man, G.I. Joe used to have those little. Remember the knowing's half the battle?
Yeah. Noise after battle. Yeah.
In the cartoon, they would give you like a lesson.
Yeah.
They like, oh man, like there's a fire in your house. You should use baking soda to do it. Like those things stick with you.
Yeah. As a kid. Yeah.
Like, things like that. Like kids don't have
No.
like little things like that.
No.
Like be nice. Mr. Rogers telling you to be nice to people, and
Yeah.
little things like that. I mean, those things are important. I feel like these
For
kids,
sure.
they ain't these kids today.
Yeah. What happened to R&B music, man? Rap music, it's definitely not the same anymore, Rob, from when me and you came up. I'd rather listen to stuff from the 80s. I love the 80s, dude. I know you probably do. What say you? What happened to rap music and R&B music?
Man, R&B, when you think about it, it was all about like love, like relationships. I'll move the stars,
Mountains for you. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It was all about like a good singing, catchy hook to sing to. And nowadays it's just like I feel like all those beats are the same. They all sound the same.
Mumble rap.
All the mumble rap sounds the same. And
Yeah.
when you go out nowadays, like no one's dancing anymore. Like, I saw a video of like, the clubs back in the 90s, and it was just like sweaty.
Flat. Yeah.
And nowadays, I think I read some article where like nightlife is at a crossroads because like nobody wants to pay thousands of dollars to be in a section, and all this stuff. Like nobody's on the dance floor anymore. I mean, like we were young, like that's how you met girls. That's how you like did your thing. It's like you were out there like dancing, and you talk to somebody, and that was a way to connect with people. And I feel like that music back then, that's what connected everybody in the whole club would be singing it.
Right.
Whereas now it's like you might hear a clip of that song and then it gets remixed into some like dance beat or like
Yeah.
into some other like thing. And then, because I can't say like, oh, nowadays it's just dirty because, we had Little Kim, we had
Yeah.
all them,
Foxy
doing some
Brown.
craziness.
Yeah. Nicki
But
Minaj. Yeah.
at the same time, like, I mean, it's too easy to become a rapper now. Like, I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many like headlines where I see like, you know,
Yeah.
little something,
Little Dirk, little yeah,
who,
yeah, little yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's just because like you got
Oh
this in your
man.
hand and you can just be
Yeah.
famous with that. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's changed because it took a lot more effort, for them to
Back
really
then.
get famous, for
Yeah.
their music back then.
Yeah.
And
Mixtapes.
the
Mixtapes are
production was
gone.
just better.
Yeah.
And it's all about the dance floor, man. I feel like back then, if you got people on the dance floor, that's what got you popular.
It was all about the mixtapes back then from your trunk. Now it's like, what's a mixtape, right?
Oh my
Jeez, it's
god,
that's unbelievable.
mixtape. Now
Oh man.
you can just tell your phone now you have all the music that was ever
Yeah.
created
In your
right there.
phone. Unreal.
You know,
Unreal.
you don't know about like listening to the radio, hitting record,
Yeah.
or I was telling Maha the other day, my fiance, like, man, like there would be a song that we would love back in the day, and you would just never find it because
Yeah.
you never even knew. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't
Yeah. You can't
Shazam
research.
it. You
There's no
can't.
YouTube. Yeah.
You just
LimeWire,
had to
right?
like find it or
Figure it
ask
out.
somebody or
No
something.
Shazam. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a vinyl in my man cave, Rob. I'm collecting vinyls now. Vinyl, little
What do you
cassette
got?
player. I got a couple of Jay-Z, got some Jimi Hendrix, Aretha Franklin when I'm a little bored. I come down here, I mellow out a little bit, and all about the
Vinyls are
vinyls.
awesome,
All
man.
about the vinyls, man. All about the vinyls. Kids have no idea. No idea, Rob. No
Well,
idea.
I mean, I even look like I have a friend who still DJs to this day. Like when I was in high school, we used to be like chilling in the living room and he'd be in his room with his headphones on, just like
Yeah.
DJing.
Mellowing it out, right?
And
Yeah.
I'm like, but now I'm looking like, I mean, he literally still does it with like record. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, now he's got the whole, you have access to every song ever, so you can have your laptop up on the thing and start doing your thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that like, back then you had to literally like change a whole record to get that mix into the other record and then start like, really like mixing those back and forth. I mean, there's one new guy. His name is Sick Kick. He's got like a mask he wears. I advise you and other people to check him out.
Is he an
He
ATL?
actually,
ATL? Sick kick?
he's not from Atlanta. He's got like a following. He's like
Okay.
he's on Instagram and stuff.
Okay.
He makes these mashups that are like bring you right back. Like he makes a mashup of like "In the Air Tonight," Phil Collins,
Nice.
and "Remember the Time," like
Nice.
He
Michael Jackson,
mashes
yeah.
them up. Like he does a lot of those really well. I mean, like he's definitely a younger dude, so I give him props for like bringing that back.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's that kind of stuff. This is funny because like I don't have any kids. Me and my fiance don't have any kids, so like we still kind of go out every now and then, not often.
Not
But
often.
every
Yeah.
now and then we'll
Yeah.
dip outside. And when you start listening to this stuff, you just keep saying like, man, like you like when you hear like someone starts playing like remember the time or something or some song or Biggie or whatever, and then people start losing it. People start
Yeah.
rapping and singing
Yeah.
along and doing this, and then they cut over to like some other
You're
beat.
like,
You
oh,
literally watch the energy just go like,
suck the energy out of the room. Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, why don't people just
Yeah.
keep
Keep going. Yeah. Yeah. Now I know you like Prince, love Prince. Going to one of his last concerts. What did you take away from that experience?
That was amazing, man. It was the last concert. I mean,
Yeah.
he apparently had a private concert before he died
Okay.
after that, but this was the last public concert he ever, it was at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and the tour was called the Piano and a Microphone Tour, and I mean he didn't do like hit after hit. He just did like did his thing, but it was literally Prince with a piano and a microphone. There's no band, nothing. And I mean, at the time, like I was just so enamored. Like, I never thought I would get to see him like in person. And of course, I would have loved to have seen him like with a guitar and a band, just going
Yeah.
crazy, doing the whole bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, seeing an icon like that, because I never, Michael Jackson's my other guy, and I never got to see him, obviously,
Yeah.
which always was, because seeing Michael was like,
Yeah.
spectacle,
Oh, of
to
course.
see him.
Yeah.
Um, but so that was one thing I was like, man, I'm lucky. I still have the ticket stub. I actually got it now that you mentioned it, I gotta like
You
put
got to
that
frame
frame
that thing. Yeah. You got to get
frame
that framed. Yeah.
because there was an album that he gave that we got that night, like that we all got to take home, and I have a picture of the marquee. So I was thinking about like printing out the picture with the ticket stub and all that.
Yeah. You should, man, for
Yeah,
sure.
Prince was just like, on another level in terms of like his, musical, instrument talent and like his songwriting, all the songs he wrote for people that I never knew he wrote. Like, it's just like
Incredible.
the best.
I know you got some vocals. You got a Purple Rain verse for us? I know you got some
Purple
vocals.
Rain verse.
Purple rain, purple rain.
I can dance to it. I can't sing it. That ain't me.
Thoughts on Michael Jackson, his legacy, your favorite MJ song. How will history remember MJ?
Let me think. I'm gonna say. So it's funny. So I think they'll remember him. It's like obviously the scandal is there. Um, However, he was never like truly convicted of anything. It was so at me, knowing how the law works, it's all speculation until you're convicted of something. So, and we all know. So I think that's always going to be over his head, but I truly think that's dissipating a little bit. I think when people say Michael Jackson like right away, I still think the music is the first thing that you think of and not that. Unlike Bill Cosby, where like
Yeah,
say that name and it's a wrap.
yeah,
But I think Michael, because I got to say, like, Dave Chappelle made a joke about it, but it always caught me weird that like these, why were these kids wanting to hang out with him? Because like they didn't even, you don't remember Thriller, like you guys weren't even around when he was huge. So it's like I just didn't understand like the, why all these, it seems fishy, like the way
hmm
people. And I just think he was a troubled person who never had a childhood and was always definitely a questionable lifestyle. I just really didn't believe in all
yeah.
the stuff he was accused of. But my favorite songs, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, not ones you would think of, but I mean, so I love "Leave Me Alone," which is from the Bad
Okay,
album.
okay.
That's like one of my favorite Michael songs. Love "Leave Me Alone." Love "Remember the Time" from Dangerous, and then from Thriller. It's like kind of a tie. I mean, most people would say Billie Jean, but for me, I do love Thriller, like the song Thriller. Like the song Thriller is great, but Beat It is hard to beat it. Beat It is
Yeah,
that's
can't.
Eddie Van Halen on the guitar. I
Yeah,
mean, like
it
that
hits.
that just gets you going right there.
Fill in the blank. If Biggie Smalls was alive today,
If Biggie Smalls was alive today, hmm, I mean, I don't think we would see. I think Puffy wouldn't be what he was. I think it would have been. Um, I think if he was alive today, it would have been, truly, the label probably would have melded into, Biggie's hands in a way, and I don't think he would be still performing anymore. I don't think he'd be making albums right now. I think he would have been done with that if he was around. People got to remember, man, he was like 24 when he died or something like that.
24, 25. Yeah, when he died, 97. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like
Crazy.
I mean, he didn't seem like the type that would just like put out music to put out music. Because I gotta tell you, man, there's people I love that I feel like you really got to know when to hang it up. Because I mean, when it comes to music, like they're just gonna want to. People are just gonna want to hear your hits at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not cool with that, then it's like,
It's game
I
over.
love Justin Timberlake. I think he's like one of the most talented performers since Michael Jackson. And I mean, I gotta admit, man, his stuff,
Yeah.
lately and like, it's
Yeah.
not great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and it's, I just feel like there's, as certain musicians, it's you just gotta know when to
Meant to hang it up.
bring it up.
How's the golf game, man? I know you go on the course every now and then. How's the golf game? How good are you?
I'm like a 12 handicap.
Okay.
With like something like that, which is, I mean, I shoot like high 80s, low 90s normally, which is pretty good. I mean, well, pretty good in terms of like, the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, I mean, I picked it up at, in my mid 30s.
Okay.
And I'm glad I did because a couple of reasons is it gets you outside in nature and outside, which I think,
Keeping active. Yeah.
like a big thing I read in that Comfort Crisis book is like we're so disconnected from that. It's like unreal. And when you get out there a lot, it's just a chance to like be with your boys, like listen to music. And because now golf is different. Like when we were growing up as kids, it was like country clubs, the Masters. It was like the Masters, don't talk,
No
all
noise,
this.
quiet.
Now
Yeah.
it's kind of morphed into like everybody's got a Bluetooth speaker, a couple drinks, whatever, and it's just kind of a time to unwind. And so I love it for that. I love the aspect that you can play it by yourself because I feel like same with boxing is like if you're gonna have a real hobby, you're gonna keep your entire life. It's got to be something you can be able to do by yourself.
For
If
sure.
you depend on other people to do it with you all the time, you're never gonna do it because everybody's busy. Everybody's got something going on.
Yeah.
So
That's
I love
awesome.
it for that, and then the fact that like it's something you can play your rest of your life. I mean, my dad's
sure.
80 and he still plays.
He's still out there, huh?
4 times a week. I mean,
Who's better? You or him?
oh, he is. He's been playing for like 40 years. I mean, like,
Oh,
he's
man.
definitely better than me. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure.
Better food, Jersey or ATL? Tough question.
Jersey, not even a question.
Yeah.
I mean,
All
like
right.
I mean, tasting. I mean, none of it's good for you, but I mean, I can't tell you enough, Ken. Like when you move away from there,
Yeah.
from where we grew up,
Yeah.
I consider them all the same. Like Jersey, New York, Connecticut, all that. It's all pretty much the same. Like, when you get home and you bite into a slice of pizza,
Yeah. Forget about it.
Tear comes down your eye.
Yeah.
Like,
Mic drop. You're done.
just
Yeah.
hits different. Like
Yeah.
you take it for such granted when you move away, when you
Yeah.
get there. When you come back, you're like,
Yeah.
God,
Oh my goodness.
like,
Black History Month. Thoughts on Lewis Hamilton becoming the first black driver to compete in the Formula One Australian Grand Prix. What does that all mean for the culture?
I mean, Lewis Hamilton. That's what I'm funny you brought that up because I'm black and Italian, so like my guy is now driving for Ferrari.
Ferrari, yeah. It used to be McLaren back in 07, right? But now it's Ferrari, right? Yeah.
Well, no, it was Mercedes.
Mercedes.
He was with Mercedes, and then so that now he's with Ferrari. So it's like, yeah, now it's like both worlds coming together.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's fantastic because like he's Tiger Woods of driving. When Tiger came into a sport completely dominated by white people, and then he dominated, and then Lewis comes in. I think he's won like 7 world championships, something like that. Gotta love that, man. Like the fact that he's and then now he's like with the storied, Ferrari, like the storied company.
It's crazy.
It's the greatest, man.
Yeah.
Black History Month is huge in all of our eyes. I hope it's more of a worldwide thing than an America thing, but it's definitely, we've got a lot, coming our way.
Yeah,
Black History Month.
for sure. I know you're picking the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. What's the score prediction? Who you got? Are the Chiefs the bad guys in this? It seems like the Chiefs are the villains
Oh,
now,
they're
right?
definitely as Yankee fans, we know when you
Right,
win, everybody hates you.
right.
So they're definitely the bad guys. I mean, it's just hard. Like, I mean, as good as the Eagles are, I mean, maybe their defense can really do something here because I feel like Mahomes can struggle at times. So I feel like I mean, if I had to pick a score, I'm going to say like 27-21 Chiefs.
27-21. I think we're gonna blow them out, Rob.
You blow them out?
I'm gonna blow them out. I'm gonna go 37-24 Eagles. How about that? That's it. Book it. I know you travel a ton. Favorite destination: Paris, UK, Netherlands. Would you ever go back? Thoughts on those destinations?
Yeah, so I mean, I was lucky because like I'd never been to any of those places. So
Yeah.
me and my fiance went a couple months ago. We went to Italy the year before.
Okay.
So the year before went to like Venice, Tuscany, Rome, and Positano. Out of all that, Tuscany was my favorite
Really? Okay.
experience, 100%.
Tuscany's
Because
favorite.
Tuscany is like all the other parts, all those other places you just mentioned, you can take obvious pictures of them. Eiffel
Right.
Tower, Tower Bridge in London, Colosseum, Venice canals, you know, Positano cliffs. You could take like all these obvious things you could like look at and take pictures of. But when you're in Tuscany, there's nothing you can really like take a picture of to like show someone.
Right.
But when you're there, I mean, you just feel like the Godfather type of like serenity.
Yeah.
Like
Peaceful.
it's like rolling hills and sun coming up over the hill in the morning, and the food was incredible. The people were so nice. That was definitely my favorite, for sure, was Tuscany. Like it was just because again, for the reason that like you can't explain it, you can't
Yeah.
show it or explain it. You just have to go there.
Least favorite destination? What was like, meh? I'm like, I would go there, but I would never go back.
Of the international spots.
Yeah.
I mean, no shade to it, but I would say like Venice, a couple days there and you're good.
Okay. Sort of like
There's
Vegas,
not
right?
a,
Yeah.
there's not a lot you can see, not a lot you can in a couple days you truly see it all.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's just like a little, I mean, it's amazing because you don't see a car,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy. But
Wow.
yeah, I would say, I mean,
Venice.
least favorite is
Venice.
Croatia.
Last time you saw a phone booth prior to the UK?
I think I saw one in an airport
Really?
somewhere. Yeah, I think I saw one in an airport in like Colombia or something like that. But like,
Okay.
yeah, no, I mean,
You don't see those.
But man, what a throwback!
Oh man, that's incredible. Did you develop like an accent? Any words for us? Any slangs or slogans you got for us today?
Oh man, like yeah, the UK when you're there, you get that like UK accent, well fit bird, like the hard when they talk, you're almost like you want to talk back.
Yeah.
Like,
did you say cheers, mate?
Tower Bridge. You can take me to Tower Bridge over by Borough Market. You know what I mean? And they're like, what are you talking? It's hard. It's hard not
to get an accent.
If you're talking English, you want to you innately want to say it back. But
proper English, right? The proper way of English. Craziest travel story. Lost a suitcase, missed flights, passport missing. Craziest travel story you ever encountered?
Oh man, I've been pretty lucky. I mean, I haven't had a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna say working at an airport, I advise everybody carry on if you can.
Okay, write that down. Carry on, huh?
Carry on.
Okay.
I've seen bags like sitting on a tarmac,
Gone.
like tugs driving by him, no concern.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would definitely advise everybody to, if you can, like, I mean, obviously there's times you can't, but like,
Right.
if you can, carry on. Like, it'll make your life a lot easier. But I can't say I've had any
Mishaps or anything
crazy travel
crazy.
stories.
Yeah.
I can say like my stepmom, my dad's wife, she was involved. She was our COO in our company before they retired, and I guess I could say she had a cool story where before 9/11, she fell asleep in Houston, I want to say,
Okay.
and they were going back to Newark, and she woke up in Boston
What?
because pre 9/11 they didn't
Yeah. It
kick
was
you
like,
off the plane.
yeah, it was a loosey goosey, right? Yeah. You just chill out, hang
So like
out. Yeah.
she fell asleep, and like planes go to another place.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything, and she just woke up in another city.
Wow. That's incredible.
That would never happen now.
No, no, no. That would never happen now. Where to next? Where are you traveling to next? Big destination coming up. Where are you going to next?
I mean, we have we're trying to situate a home, like she and I both own our own homes, so we're trying to consolidate those and then
Okay.
get like a home together. So we got that expense, and then the wedding. So I don't know if we'll do like a big trip this year, but next year, I mean, in my travel spots, like I really want to go to Japan. Like I
Japan.
feel like
Okay.
Tokyo, from what I've heard, is like a different planet. Like when you get there, it's just. And I'm also the kind of person where, like, when I go on vacation, I like to explore and do things as opposed to just like sit at a.
Yeah.
You
Get out. Get
know,
out.
be like
Do your
I
thing.
like to get out. I mean, I like those trips too, or those days during a trip, um, but I love soaking in culture and learning new things. And I just feel like when I see things about Japan, I see like, wow, there's so much to learn and experience there.
Yeah.
I'm
For
definitely
sure.
that's a huge one for me that I want to go.
Japan. Awesome. Big day coming up, right? A wedding. When's it happening? What are you looking forward to the most? Are you nervous? Scale of 1 to 10. Any butterflies? You ready to go?
Definitely no butterflies in who I'm
Okay.
marrying, but I would say like I guess the day, yeah, of course there's some like, wow, this is, as a, 44 years old, I've been to a million weddings.
Yeah.
So it's like, you've been to a million of them, and then you're like, wow, this is actually, now it's my turn. Like, now I'm going to do this for real.
Yeah. Walk down that aisle.
It
Yeah.
almost feels like it's not real.
Surreal. Yeah.
But I know like the fact that she and I are both the ages that we're at, and we've been to 1,000 of them. We're definitely doing things different because you learn, like, just like I said, in life, you can't expect things to be like this. You also can't expect a wedding to be like this. So we're not doing like bridesmaids and speeches and the whole rigmarole of that. She's Persian, born in Iran, so we might mix in some cool traditions on that end,
Yeah. That'd be cool.
and just kind of have a great, we just want everybody to have a good, like, we just said our number one goal is we want everybody to have
A good time.
like, we
Yeah.
just want everybody to have fun, because like, and we're doing a destination. We're most likely going to do it in Cabo.
Nice.
That's what we're looking at. So,
Very nice.
so we're just really hoping like we're going to get a great group of people that come and just literally leave being like, oh, that was so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
Because too many times we've been to a lot of weddings where, like, people just show up, and then as soon as they look at their watch, they get
Yeah.
tired.
They're out. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're willing to have a smaller group of people that are just down and just want to have a good time.
Is it this year in Cabo or next year? It's this year, right?
No, we don't have an exact date, but it's probably
Okay.
going to be like next 2026.
2026. Okay. Awesome, man. Any shout outs you want to give people back home, CCF fam, your fam at ATL? Any
Oh,
shout
man.
outs?
we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
I would shout out everybody, but I mean, just for the purpose of you and I connecting, I definitely want to shout out
Thanks,
to
man.
everybody that we worked with, together at the CCF, because, like I said, like I feel like I've come full circle in terms of on the corporate side of things and seeing it through and working. I've worked with like every big brand you can think of, like from Starbucks to Wendy's, and seeing all the inner workings of all those companies and everything, seeing the whole enchilada of it, and so the respect I have for everybody that we've worked with at that place is second to none. Like I said, I still attest that like being an expo at that place is an insane job.
Yeah.
Every job at the Cheesecake is the hardest it is at that level, like in terms of like getting it done and being successful at it. So definitely shout out to every single person who's watching and will watch any clip that we've worked together there. I still think about all the fun days we had. Like you said, we would go to the Hody and hang out. And,
Yeah.
all the jokes we've had and things we would do to pass time by, and all the crazy people we've dealt with over the years. And but it's all molded us into becoming what we are, and I hope that continues in the industry in some way. So
Sure.
shout out to all of them, everybody in the ATL, all my new, I say like my new ATL family and friends, all my boys and people back in Jersey and New York and all over the country and the world.
That's awesome, dude. Going forward, want to wish you and yours much love, much success. I really mean that. And it's good to connect with you today, man. Absolute pleasure having you on the show today. You're an inspiration to many, and just keep doing your thing. Keep striving for greatness, man. Each and every day.
Thank you, man. I can't thank you enough for giving me this. It was great to talk and
Yeah.
catch up, and
Yeah.
it was like I could do this all day. So if
Yeah.
again, I'm down, and
Let's not wait another 10 years to do this,
no,
man.
definitely not. We'll do it again, man. I want to congratulate you on
Thank you, man.
You always had this passion for like
Yeah.
I feel like you were doing podcasts and stuff
Way back when.
Way back, man.
Yeah.
It catches on, and I'm seeing you on the Apple, and seeing all the things, and from our softball days, and always had this passion for sports and connecting and doing your thing. So I've always been a huge fan of your hustle and what you've done. You've had a great attitude towards things.
Thank you.
You're always, you ever come to Atlanta, you let me know.
For sure.
Red carpet for you.
For sure, man. Absolutely.
Keep doing big things, man. I'll keep watching.
You as well.
Know if I can help in any way.
Awesome, brother. Shout out to Whitey, by the way. Whitey, Danielle, Andre, the whole crew, the four amigos. Oh, James Bates. My goodness, James Bates.
Wherever you are. Dougie
Wow.
Lockwood, wherever you are.
Lockwood. Yeah, remember Lockwood.
Marla, with two beautiful daughters.
Shout out to Marla. My goodness, Laura McGuinn. Wow. James Rulin. Shout out to him. That name I didn't hear in years. Wow.
Mr. Rulin.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Marta's doing real estate.
Marta. Shout out to Marta too. Yeah, for sure. Dasha. Yeah.
Dasha,
everybody.
Team,
Jeez.
Good to see all y'all.
For sure. Absolute.
James Hartner,
Oh, Jim. Yeah, Hartner, man. I'll bring him back for sure. I got to get him back. For sure. Munson. I haven't heard Munson in ages. I'm sure he's going to love this when I send it to him.
Yeah.
For sure.
You probably don't remember me, but I mean, that was, he was the man. He was the GM of GMs for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Jimmy Cordero, Wysocki. Wow.
Maribel.
Shout out to Maribel too, for sure.
All them, man.
Yeah,
also, rest in peace to all the people that we knew that we lost along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Throughout the Cheesecake years, Mike Ricci, all the
Mike Blue, Mike Monahan, Dave. Yeah, just sad, but rest in peace. Pleasure, brother. Good seeing you. It's Rob Cruz.
care.
You got it, brother. Anytime.